What up?
What's up?
Hey everyone! Welcome to our Twitch stream. This is Battlecry or Die playing through Horde of the Dragon Queen. Super fun. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, so last time, our party kind of split. There was a little bit of a split there going on. So Kidron communed with Lathander and was gifted a particular item. Particular sword that he's incredibly happy about and has made his way back to where, let's see, who is it? Ricard, Roland, and Skodrick, I believe, or everybody's there. And then Atlas has gone off to speak with Ulfni and his parents about some future decisions that are going to have to be made. But Ulfni has a grand scheme that he's trying to hatch and just needs some assistance in the matter, and so has expressed that to Atlas, and so we'll find that out either this session or next, depending, or if whenever Atlas decides to describe it. So a portion of our party had reconvened and made their way to a particular road in Waterdeep that I would have in front of me, except that I didn't pull the map up. So let me do that real quick, and I will let you guys know. So you guys came across a particular merchant that y'all had come across before, this nice little old lady who has a conglomeration of weird magic items that she sells. And she went into a store that you guys had gone into before and happened upon one and decided to make that purchase, which then ended up spilling onto the ground as she was recklessly waving it in the air as her horse-drawn cart rode by you guys standing in the street and meeting. And this particular item, after having spilled out, created some damage and broke open a hole in the street, or on the side of the street, that is, that leads, opens into a tunnel beneath the roadway. And so that's kind of where we left off. So that's pretty exciting. I think maybe it might not be, but we'll see. So for those of you that were standing in the street after this hole had kind of been created, and then Ricard used a mage hand to kind of close the book and lift it and kind of move it back over to where the old lady was, her having stopped her cart, or her cart driver, that is, and made her way over to retrieve the book from you. And also, in this time of day, the streets had become fairly crowded. And so given this particular circumstance, it's drawing quite a bit of attention. And you notice there's a group of about 15 or 20 people that have all kind of stopped and witnessed the events that have taken place and have begun to kind of merge forth towards where this 5-foot hole is in the ground now, all with their curiosity piqued, kind of witnessing these strange events. And so as you're looking into this hole, and Ricard, I believe it was you and Skodrick, you guys had made your way over, standing next to the hole here and looking down into it. So it kind of opens out into like a partially finished passway that kind of passes underneath this portion of road. So, and it goes east to west across the road. So it's kind of on the corner. You guys are just south of the intersect where Tharleon Street and the Bazaar Street kind of meet, and the Street of Silver. And so that intersection, you guys are just south of it, which is on the opposite side of the block from the building that you guys had met with the High Lady in. And so that's kind of where all of this has taken place. And so now revealed beneath the road is this passageway. So it kind of has, it's like a packed dirt floor. It looks like it's been pretty well traveled, and the walls are held up. They're masoned stone, and so that's kind of what opens out beneath you.
DM, can I roll a history check to see if
Yes.
we would know if I'd know any reason? Like, is this a commonly known of thing? Is it tunnels below the streets
Um,
type of stuff?
so there's as far as your knowledge of Waterdeep is concerned, you do absolutely know that this is something that isn't that rare. Um, it's definitely something that happens with some of the organizations that exist, the Harpers included, whether they're like morally ambiguous or not. Multiple groups actually have kind of, made their way into the underside of the underbelly of the city, essentially. Um, there are sewers that run underneath the city. There are there are a couple of passageways that travel between sewers. For utilized by city guard in order to hasten or expedite their travel between locations if they need to. Um, in the case of emergency, or some passageways that are utilized for essentially emergency exit if the city is under siege or being attacked or whatever. Um, and then some of these organizations utilize some of these passageways for travel themselves, and some of them have kind of built, like, not necessarily bunkers, but some underground portions of base, like the Harpers, in order to utilizing caution in some of their more secretive tasks that they carry out. They're like some basements of some buildings that can be traveled to and from utilizing these kind of passageways. But then, some of the thieves guilds that exist within Waterdeep also kind of utilize a similar circumstance.
So, is it just me and Skodrick standing there looking at this? Did I
I
hear that
was
right?
I
Or
was
So,
floating above the whole, like, I don't
like,
think they made a good roll, but I was there.
so,
yeah,
can I look a little bit closer, DM? See if I see anything that looks like would mark the tunnel as being belonging to the Harpers or any other group that I know symbols for.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah, so you can go ahead and make a perception check just to kind of scan this
okay.
immediate area to see. Um,
Not very good. That is a 6.
so
I
so
guess
given the
I'm gonna have my
Nice.
pseudo dragon check as well, specifically for Harper symbols.
Okay. All right, yeah, so you kind of, motion for your
Super
pseudo
eye.
dragon to check, and your pseudo dragon kind of like floats down and flies a few feet in either direction in the tunnel itself. Kind of making its way through some of the remaining opening on either side of the collapse, right? And it does get a bit darker on either side. The tunnel doesn't seem to be very well lit, though there are some wall sconces that are there. They exist there, but they're not currently lit. They've all been extinguished. And as you're kind of flying back and forth or whatever, your pseudo dragon does get the sensation that there is some warmth coming from some of these, and so it's almost as if they've been extinguished recently, though there's no smoke rising from them, so they've not been burning for a while. And as it kind of makes its way in the direction, your pseudo dragon kind of peers down and sees that where this particular pathway ends is in the general vicinity of that house that you guys met the High Lady in. Um, as you're kind of looking, you do see two markings in particular. One of the markings being that of the Harpers, and the other of the markings being that of the Gauntlet.
Okay. So I look at rolling up in the sky, and how far up are you?
Like 30 feet.
Like, jeez. And I just instead of hollering out at you, I just look over at Skodrick and say, "It looks like it's just a passage tunnel for the Harpers and the Gauntlet." And I kind of point in the direction that I see that either me or my pseudo dragon, whichever one of us saw the symbols, and where they were at.
Do you think we should mend this and repair it?
Unfortunately, I kind of take a second and I don't have the ability to mend anymore. It would be kind of complicated anyway. But
So you guys notice too that the crowd has gotten a little bit larger. That's kind of surrounding you guys, and some of the city guard actually approach, and
we need to get out of here now.
Elbowing their way through the city, through the crowd that's kind of begun to gather.
Can I roll a stealth roll to try and blend into the crowd, DM?
Yeah, absolutely.
16. Got a 16.
It's not bad.
Do I see him leaving? Like, because I didn't hear this conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're kind of looking down at the whole, at the kind of events that are transpiring here, and you see, and Kidron and Ricard kind of grouped together there, and you see Ricard turn and actually begin to kind of, try to disappear into the crowd.
Okay, I'm just gonna be like a helicopter chasing a suspect, and like just hover kind of over where he is, trying to keep pace.
Okay.
I assume everyone's leaving.
And I'm gonna beeline straight for, just so y'all know where I'm going. I'm beelining as long as it doesn't lead me into a guard, if I can tell, towards the cart, the rickshaw, whatever it was that we rented, to be able to get down to the southern side of the city.
Sure.
I'm gonna make my way to the cart as well.
Okay. Scott, are you stealthing?
Sure.
And so Roland, you're just like up in the sky. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like you're casting a shadow on the ground. So, and actually, Roland, you hear one of the guard yell up to you, "Hey, you there! You there! Come here!"
What's happening? I don't know.
So he's yelling for you to.
Can he keep up with me because he has to go through the crowd to get to me, and I'm just kind of like.
He looks like he's having to fight the crowd, and he's really struggling here, especially since the attention of the crowd is on this hole now that is opened up or whatever. And you see, so Roland, go ahead and make a perception check also.
Okay.
And do it with advantage since you're like at a high vantage point with like really no obstruction.
21.
Okay, so as you're looking around or whatever, and you see some of the guard, or there are a few more guard that have kind of gathered because of the noise of the crowd gathering, right? And so there are like 2 or 3 of them that have kind of pushed their way into the hole, and they're trying to force the crowd back from the hole. In those events, as that's happening or whatever, you see one of the guards kind of begin to make their way away from the crowd and away from the hole, and he mounts a horse and begins, trotting down the street. So as you're looking around, you see the one guard that's kind of calling after you to come down so that he can speak with you. And when he realizes that you're making no attempt to speak to him, he talks to one of his other guards, like he turns to one of his other fellow guardsmen, and says something, and that fellow guardsman then just basically looks up at you and locks his eyes on you and starts pushing his way through the crowd also. And you note at this point, as he's making his way through the crowd, he's gotten the attention of 2 of his other fellow guardsmen, and they are also trying to force their way through the crowd out to where in the direction of your flying.
Okay.
DM, can I peer back and see if anybody's following me or Skadric and try and put eyes on Roland? Is that possible at this point?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
My pseudo dragon, I would have sent on a roundabout just to get not be sitting on my shoulder, so I wouldn't. I don't think I'd really get any advantage from her being around.
So you look back and you note that none of the guards. Yeah, it's a pretty good roll. So you note that none of the guards seem to have taken a particular notice to you specifically, and so you feel very confident that you've been successful in fading into the crowd away from what's going on, what's transpiring, and as you look back, you do know that there are one or two guards that are making their way in your general direction, but you see them, and as you're looking at them, they're looking into the sky. They're watching in the sky right now.
Mm.
So
Is
Do I see
Skodrick
this?
close enough to me that I can alert him to this and say something to him, or how far
Sure.
away is Skodrick?
no, he would be just like within 5 to 10 feet of you.
Just look at Skodrick and go, Skodrick, can you do something? It looks like they've got eyes on Roland.
DM, quick question.
Uh-huh.
Do we discuss, like, Ricard told us he was trying to go to his parents' shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like the whole next place we were going.
Did you tell me exactly where it was, or the general location of where it was?
I believe I talked about it.
You definitely talked about it being in the South Ward, but you didn't. I don't think you
Okay.
specified what street.
Did you tell me the name?
I did talk
don't
about the
recall.
name of it.
He did. He did talk
Yeah.
about the
Okay.
name of it.
Stonefire Adventuring Corps was the name of
Okay.
it, and it was
Okay.
specifically it was in the dock ward.
Okay, if I see that
Dock
they're,
Ward, sorry.
Yes.
if I see that the guards are only focused on me, and I see Ricard's trying to stealth away,
Right.
okay, and I also see, I also know where they're going,
Right.
and right now I'm a distraction. I'm aware of this.
Sure.
Right, I can. Okay. So this is a question I've been wanting to ask for a while.
Okay.
If I use Zephyr Strike, and one of the functions of Zephyr Strike is that if I make an attack, whether it hits or misses, it essentially doubles my movement speed. If I were just to take a swing in the air, does that still count as activated or no? Or do I have to
That's
actually have a
not-
target?
I don't know that I'm going to consider that specifically an attack
It's fair. That's
because you're
totally
not
fair.
technically attacking anything.
Sure.
So I
Let's
decided
see.
Final
Now,
Fantasy
if you were to
15.
I know.
Funny.
Is there anything? I'm assuming I'm not higher than any building right now, right? I'm just 30 feet in the air.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few buildings that you're higher. In fact, you're higher than most of them. There are a few of the buildings that do kind of rise up to your height. You see like the building that you met the High Lady in is high as you are. There are a couple of other buildings in that area, but not all of them. In fact, most of them are like single floor buildings.
Gotcha. Okay. In that case, if I know where they're going,
Yep.
I can assume I know where they're going.
Yep.
And I know that right now I'm a distraction. I can assume that I'm just gonna fly the hell out of there.
Okay.
Trying to, I guess, leave their line of sight. If I have to weave between buildings or whatever.
Okay.
Should I roll stealth? See if I can evade them, or
You can roll stealth with disadvantage.
disadvantage? I'm trying to evade the guards, not so much everyone.
Watching you.
Thanks, Ron.
You're like the single entity on a bright and sunshiny day that's 30 feet up in the air above everyone.
Gotcha. That's fair.
If you can hide in that, I would be like, if you cast invisibility on yourself, that would be a different story. But
fair.
all
right, so I'm going to fly up. Let's see, how far can I get in one action? If we were doing initiative, I'm not saying we are. I'm just in 6 seconds. I should be able to get 90 feet, right? If I use the dash. So yeah.
Sure.
So I just flash straight up 90 more feet. So I'm like at 120 feet, I guess.
Okay.
And then I'm looking for an alleyway. Just like peering around looking for an alleyway that's like a good distance away.
Okay.
In the direction that I would think his family shop would be. So I guess in the South Ward.
Dock Ward.
Dock Ward. Okay.
Yeah.
And then try to land. This is the plan, so I don't know how we're gonna play it out, but do that and then try to stealth somewhere.
Okay.
After Ricard tells me everything, I'm gonna cast guidance on myself.
Okay, so do me a favor. Roland. Make an intelligence check.
Oh Jesus.
And essentially what this is going to be is you're scoping out the area, and I'm just using your 21 for the area scope, unless you wanted to re-roll your perception. If you do, though, you have to take that roll.
I'll just skip 21.
Should be good.
So scoping the area to see if you can pick out a spot that you think would give you the ability to elude the sight of the guard and land you in a place where they would not think to look to discover you. Keeping in mind, though, that the only guard that know you're flying currently or that know that you're flying away from the current events are those that are there at the grouping of people. Okay, so you pick out a spot. You pick out a particular. Let me go back to the map here. You pick out a particular alleyway that exists, like we'll say 3 streets over, 3 streets to the east, right? And you see there's one particular building that's fairly large, and it's pretty high. There's like this manor type mansion kind of deal, kind of dealio, and you see that there are a couple of alleyways on either side of it. And so you feel like, though the alleyways aren't closed off, they're not necessarily dead-end alleyways, they do feed into a garden that kind of runs around behind this manor. And so you decide that perhaps the last place that they would look would be somewhere of this nature. So that's going to put you, if you're, I don't know if you have the map pulled up or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be on the corner of the Street of Bells and Lamp Street. You'll see in the southwest corner of that, there's that one rather large building, rather large manor. So it's going to be either side of those. So you can pick either the north or south side of that building, if you know what I'm talking about.
Repeats the
Lamp and the Street of Bells. Lamp Street and the Street of Bells. So it's like
okay,
3 streets over from the Street of Silver.
Okay. Let's see, Lamp Street and Street of Bells.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I see it goes up.
The southwest corner there, that block of buildings there. There's that one large manor, and you see that it's got a garden that kind of goes around behind it, and the alleyway on either side feed that garden. Okay, so Ricard and Skadric and Kidron, you guys all managed to make your way back to the rickshaw, and you do so being fairly unnoticed. Everybody seems to have their attention on the street with this 5-foot hole in it now, or the few guardsmen that have been watching Roland kind of move over and descend. Now, as you guys are watching, you do know the guards have been keeping a close eye on them, but are no longer moving in y'all's direction, but instead have diverted and begun to move to the east, in the direction that Roland has descended in.
Okay.
So Atlas.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. I was just going to look at everybody and go, okay, we need to go into our destination. Hopefully, Roland can catch up with us.
A nod.
Okay. So Atlas, I believe that you were still in conversation with your parents the last time, and you had not made your way away. So, and there had just been a crash outside the window of your dining room. So, like, you're sitting in your dining room, kind of like that's attached to the kitchen, and you're all kind of sitting there having this discussion or whatever, and then you hear this crash outside your window. Make a perception check for me, real quick, Atlas. I know you made one last time, but I'm going to have you make one more. Okay, so
12.
you hear
Yeah,
this.
sorry guys. Rolled a 12 for my perception.
So you hear this crash, and you look over to see, and you note that it came from the window, and you feel like you almost caught this fleeting glimpse of something that has disappeared from the window quite rapidly. And this would be kind of the area that feeds your backyard.
I'm going to head out the door if there's one right there.
Okay. All right. So you kind of move to make your way out the door. And as you do, there's kind of like this store area that your parents use is against the back of the house, and it's kind of covered, and that's where the window of your the back wall of your dining room is, and this covered area. Portion of this outside of your backyard or whatever. It's got like straw matting on the ground, and then it's kind of covered with these like wooden logs that have kind of been tied together, or whatever, and held up by these these wooden posts. And this is kind of a store area, so it's got like some barrels of what you would know to be grain, some barrels of grain, and so this particular area or whatever, these are. These barrels contain grain that are kind of crossbred from, it's like different variations of grain that have been crossbred together to try and produce new flavors or new styles of bread to bake or whatever. And so generally your parents don't stock mass amounts of this. They generally only stock, like 1 or 2 barrels. And though the barrels might sit outside, they don't sit outside for long. And so this is something that your parents have probably purchased very recently within the last day or two, and we're storing them temporarily. And your mom has been kind of, trying to do some of the baking with this new grain to just try and feel out how it's gonna be, like the quality of it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as you look, you make your way to the backyard, and you look. 2 of these barrels have been overturned. One of them has spilled out onto the ground, and lying in the mass of grain that has now spilled out onto the ground, there is this figure that you note wearing this kind of brown robing with a hood pulled up, though the hood being pulled up is kind of awkward, and you see protruding from either side of the face of this character some horns. And as you're looking at the character and regarding this character, you see this light red skin tone with these brown twisted horns kind of protruding from either side of the face.
Can I put together who it is?
Absolutely. You know exactly who this is. And so as you kind of move to her and approach her, she looks up at you, and there's this look of kind of fear on her face, this look of confusion and fear and just non-understanding.
So I'm gonna be speaking to her, and I'm gonna be moving my hands like this in the air, sort of just like saying, "Hey, look, Bologna, I know you're a little scared, but allow me to explain." As I cast heroism.
Okay, sure.
So I'm gonna, as I'm doing that, I'm gonna be explaining to her, look, so I know this is gonna sound really, really weird to you, and I don't know if anybody has filled you in, but yeah, it's me, Atlas. So
as you say that, she gets pretty wide-eyed. There's some look of hesitation on her face. She's still lying on the ground. She's not made a move to stand up, though she's propped herself up on one elbow and kind of turned and put one foot on the ground as if she's preparing to stand up and basically jolt if she needs to. Just, look of high reluctance. Make a persuasion roll. Do so with advantage, though. Given the hand motions, I kind of get the sense that your attempt is to bring some familiarity to her with the way that your mannerisms are. And
yeah, I'm sort of acting like myself, but also there was somatic components to that spell, so I figured that'd be part of it.
Oh, gotcha. So, okay, very good. Yeah, cool.
So persuasion.
Yep. So make a persuasion roll, but with advantage.
Okay, so that was advantage. I got a 7 and a 12.
Okay. So Ricard, Kidron, and Skodrick, you guys have made your way over to this rickshaw or whatever and begun to make your way southward now. And the guy pulling your rickshaw, he looks like your average cross-country runner, basically, with just a little more muscle mass. The rickshaw that he has is only meant for 2 people, but you guys managed to kind of squeeze in there tightly. And he, after having been given the amount that he's given, he's gladly accepted the challenge of dragging you guys to the dock ward. Now, as it begins to move, you guys know that nobody seems to have taken attention to you, and you do see the crowd kind of beginning to disperse a little bit, though some of them seem reluctant to leave because of their curiosity. But nobody has made a move in your direction, and none of the guards seem to have, taken any kind of specific note to you three. So the rickshaws turned, and where that rickshaws do have a decent movement speed. This one seems to be moving a little bit slower than what typically rickshaws move at, but you feel that is probably because of the not being what's the word I'm looking for? Not being used to dragging 3 people instead of just 2. But you guys move eastward along the north portion of this block. You take a right and begin heading southward, successfully making your way away from this area.
It's a nice sword, Kedron. Where'd you get it?
Special circumstances. Like to say?
May I take a look?
Absolutely. I draw it from my back and hand it over, two-handed like this.
I'm gonna kind of glance at the sword and go, very cool.
Do I still have my pearl and owl feather?
You do.
I'm on a ritual cast identify while we're riding out.
Okay. So do me a favor, make do an Arcana check instead. Do an Arcana check.
So I'm
just because of the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to use my guidance D4.
Okay. So because of the rickshaw, the fact that you're tightly packed and the rickshaw is kind of bumping back and forth as you guys make your way down the street, it makes it a little bit more difficult to cast. So you find that you have to focus a little more than you generally do. But you still do manage to cast it. And this particular sword, as you're casting it, you get an overwhelming sense of divine energy, divine magic coming from the sword itself. And it's almost elusive in its magic. It's almost elusive in the magic that it's kind of emitting. You do get the feel that this particular sword. You still? Oh, can I? I'll be in there in just a minute. Okay, so you feel this divine magic kind of emitting, or this divine aura of this aura of divine magic emitting from this sword, so you get the sense, though it's hard to tell specifically what the magic does that's the sword is imbued with or whatever. You do get the sense that it has some properties that aid in anything regarding like new growth or new birth. And as you take hold of the sword, you do note too that it's much lighter than you had anticipated. The hilt of the sword, it's got this gold hewn hilt with this intertwining of sapphire that's kind of inlaid along the hilt that kind of interweaves, that given the appearance of vines that then form the symbol of Lathander at the largest portion of the hilt. The blade of the hilt shining almost mirror-like as the sunlight kind of beams down on you guys.
I kind of give a smirk. I'm like, you finally talked to him, huh?
More like he actually spoke with me, as I kind of give a little head nod.
I hand it back.
I take it very graciously and begin wrapping back up again in the cloth or fabric that I originally wrapped it in, and placed it right back on my back.
Cool. All right, so Atlas, as you're standing there and you're conversing with, conversing with this woman, you do sense that there's still quite a bit of reluctance there, though she's made no move to escape from you or whatever. So as she's kind of watching you talk or whatever, she does almost seem like she's gotten a hint of familiarity, but there's still a grand look of confusion on her face, as if she understands absolutely nothing as to what is transpired.
Oh, I'm just gonna look at her and say, "Do you remember Leo Bullet Lambert?" I'm sure you
And
do,
she looks at you and she's like, how do you know that name?
because he broke my legs. He's the one who made it where I couldn't walk.
She then, still reluctantly, but with some growing courage, begins to stand. And as she stands very slowly, never losing sight of you, like keeping her eyes locked on you the entire time. And then she takes one step, tilting her head slightly, the confusion on her face. She's like, Atlas?
Yeah, it's me.
And she looks up and down, looks you up and down, and she's like, and she seems speechless. Um, she seems as if she's struggling with her words. She's kind of fumbling. She has this, just this look of inability to produce what it is she's trying to communicate at the current time. She then rapidly looks. She runs back over to where the window is, looks back into the window, and then looks back at you. And she tilts her head and she's like, what? And she points into the window, and then she looks back at you and she's like, what? And then she looks back at you again.
Hey, Ulfney, come here.
And you hear some shuffling inside. And Ulfney makes his way, out to where you're standing. And your parents kind of come and stand in the doorway that, leads from the dining room out into the backyard here.
I'm gonna say, go ahead and just start talking to her.
And so Ulfney begins to, he kind of starts with, I feel, or I get the sense that you probably know Atlas, and I just want to let you know that, and he starts to, in his own mannerisms and his own, form of speaking, though in your voice, still having the mannerisms of Ulfney, he begins to explain some of the things that have gone on, some of the things that have happened to bring you guys to be in the position that you're in. And the look of confusion on her face almost changes to a compassionate sympathy, and she then, like Atlas, she then just charges you. And if it were not for the fact that you're now like 300 something pounds, and like over 6 feet tall, she would absolutely have toppled you over. And she like jumps and like bear hugs and like wraps her legs around you.
And I'm just gonna say, it looks like I can walk again. And I grew up.
With this kind of like confused, sketchy kind of laugh, she's like, yeah, I see that. And she moves in to kiss your faceplate.
I guess I'll just laugh. There's nothing I can really do about that. I'm just gonna say, Mom and Dad don't know about us, so. But that's okay. I don't care. Yeah, Mom and Dad. I know that I just said this a few minutes ago, but yeah, we've been together secretly. I hope you can forgive me for all the boxing and and stuff that I've been doing behind your back, but I did the best I could.
And an
But now I have a
exasperated
duty.
in an exasperated voice, you hear your mom as she turns to face back into the house. She's like, I think I need some tea. And she just walks back into the house, leaving all of you standing there. Your father, being a little more accepting of the circumstances, just out of the idea that there's really nothing he can do about it at this point, kind of moves to the outside here, and he says, "So, you've been dating my Atlas, huh?" And
I guess I'll put her down at this point.
okay. Um,
Since she's been wrapped around me.
so, Roland, you've descended into this alleyway. Now, did you want to go into the north or the south alleyway?
I was gonna ask you just so I could verify I'm in the right spot. Okay, so you said Lamp Street was where I landed, or
So on the corner of Lamp Street, on the southwest corner of Lamp Street and the Street of Bells, which is the street that is to the right of Lamp Street. So in the southwest corner, there is a building that's oddly shaped, and it looks like it has like a divot on the south side of it. It almost looks like a stick man turned sideways with a divot.
yeah.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Just 1 second.
Sure.
Trying to make sure I can.
If I need to, I can share with you my screen real quick.
That might be better, just because.
Okay. So let me do that. Sorry, everybody watching on Twitch. I know this is going to be information that you can't see. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. It's right here. Do you see?
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And you're asking if I want to be on the north or the south
North
of
or the
that?
south, right?
Okay. Well, ideally, I would say the south, just so I can be closer to my destination. Wait. Again, I didn't clarify. His family shop is to the south. It's just not in the south ward, correct?
Right.
Yes.
It's in the dock
So,
ward, not the south ward.
Not okay. Gotcha. Yes, I would go towards the south.
Okay. Okay, so you're going to go into the south alleyway.
Okay, I should clarify if it seemed empty.
Right, it does.
Okay.
It does. Both alleyways at this point are actually empty.
Okay.
So whoever's the denizens or the residents of this particular location, you do see that there are a couple of I guess long hair guys out in the back garden tending to like pruning some of the trees and things or whatever. But they seem to be focused on their work and take no note of you as you descend into the alleyway between just to the east of their garden there. So as you move in, there doesn't seem to be anybody else, and you assume that the residents of this is probably out conducting business in whatever form or fashion. So as you do so, make another perception check for me.
Jesus. 24.
Okay. As you do so, you hear the normal commotion of the day. Rickshaws or horse-drawn carts traveling up and down the road on either side of the block. You see, just the buzz of the community, the city, kind of moving about. As you do so, in the distance to the west of you, you hear the shouting voices of some guardsmen. But they seem to be a good distance west of you.
Okay. I'm gonna try to either blend in with. If there's a crowd outside of, like, if I walk out of the alleyway, is there like a crowd?
Yeah,
at
there are
all.
people. There are people moving up and down the street. You know, it's not like a densely packed crowd where it's like shoulder to shoulder,
Mhm.
but it's decent enough that you know you would be able to walk. You know, either side of the street, there's a decent number of people moving up and down, um, with the center of the street being left empty for the for the way of carts to be. Uh,
Okay. Um. So, given that I don't have my mask and they probably saw my face, uh, I would probably try to make sure that they couldn't see my face at this point. So if I had something, I don't know if I have any cloth on me. I mean, I'm not sure if that would have been my backpack or something like that.
yeah, I mean, you could like rearrange your the cloak that you're wearing or whatever, like adjust your hood or something, rearrange the cloak to kind of cover part of your face.
I'm
You know,
gonna
maybe
turn my cloak inside out. I'm assuming
okay,
the colors are different. Uh, and then kind of like try to hide my face and like maybe
okay,
wrap something around my head a little bit. Uh, so that real stealth. Just try to
you roll a
see if that
stealth check.
works. Okay. 25.
Okay. Yeah,
And
so you get the feeling that you know you're pretty confident in uh, that you know any passerby, even if it was a guard running by, they're not likely to recognize you specifically,
okay.
except that the feeling that you get is though they may not check this, the fact that you're wearing winged boots
Mm,
uh, does kind of make you a sore thumb in the crowd.
sure.
Um, if someone is to inspect your boots specifically.
Sure.
And where that particular detail is not that difficult to find or not that difficult to point out, um, it would be somebody having to checking people's feet specifically uh, that would reveal your identity to them.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna try to move as quickly and as stealthily as possible uh, towards my destination,
Okay.
staying kind of like away from any guards. I don't have radios, so not every guard in the city would know that they're looking for me.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, I'm just gonna avoid at least the ones that I know for sure saw me.
Okay.
Walking there.
Yeah, sure thing. All right. Would you guys mind if we took a break for a couple of minutes right now? My wife is going to bed, so I'm going to go say
Fine.
goodnight to her,
Sure.
and then use the restroom as well.
I'm gonna
And
grab something to eat.
cool.
Grab a
All right, so this
cookie.
is going to be a good time for that. Snacks, drinks, bathroom break, etc., etc. So for those of you on Twitch who are watching, thank you guys for joining us. We're not leaving. We're just going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. If somebody wants to stay in, or Scodrick, you know, put us on the be right back.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. What?
I was literally making the same face as we left. I was like,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Atlas has been frozen in that position ever since we went away, by the way. So
dedicated.
props to him for holding the
Mhm.
thumbs up that
Bro, I didn't go get any food or anything. I mean, hell.
No, that just materialized on his desk.
Yeah.
He, what's that one magic spell?
Food and water.
Create food
The-
and water, yeah.
I'm secretly a cleric.
Oh, I was thinking of
Fuck.
I was thinking of the
Okay, no, no.
Warriors
Glaring at
You're not a
Atlas.
cleric. You're not a clerik.
Not a cleric.
Nope.
Gl-
Flashbacks.
Glaring at Atlas.
Son of a bitch.
Leaving him
Now
in
I
water
am.
deep.
Adam fakes his death and you're like,
Maybe I should say now I am. Rolling.
Oh,
Oh no. There's a history there for those of you watching. Heroes Feast. I was
Wish we
thinking
would
of
have recorded
Heroes
that.
Feast. Oh man, it would have been so good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so good, but it would have been good to record also. I mean, we can recreate it if y'all want.
No, it's
I
fine.
don't know
Oh,
if we
God, I
can
don't
really
know if I wanna
recreate
live
that
that.
moment.
No,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll
probably.
stab him a couple more times.
I think. Well, I think the level of shock wouldn't be there, and so it wouldn't have quite as much value to it.
Does that mean we can
we should
re-roll
totally-
everything? Is that what you're
yeah, we
saying?
should totally do it.
I would totally
Roll
meta
the
that
tables
shit.
and everything.
Do
And do
alternate
everything
timeline
before.
where he actually kills like half of us.
Right.
I was very
Yeah.
close.
Oh
Yeah.
man, then we've
Yeah,
got to
yeah, I can see
retcon
that
everything
too.
that happened since then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was
right.
It's an alternate timeline, you know?
Right.
Right. You know, by
Makes sense.
re-rolling this, you're now creating different times.
Oh, well, what if one of us
No.
like went into
No.
another dimension and it's alternate dimension, and then it's the
darkest
dimension where he
timeline.
killed everybody, and it's like
Damn.
we're just there, like holy shit, the world just fell apart because the Dawncatchers never got formed.
Right. Oh wow, yeah, there we go.
Either that or like you're in Valhalla, and so like you're trying to make your way back from Valhalla into the current plane or whatever.
But what if you went to
Cool
like an
too.
alternate universe, but like everybody was a little bit different? So maybe like, you know, maybe
No,
you
you
were the
we
good
could
guy,
do a-
and Ricard ended up being the evil guy.
we could
Oh,
we could do
man.
like a Ravnica. It would be like a Ravnica play.
Oh.
Everybody ends up in Ravnica.
Could you fall into that and then it what is it? Was it punk? What's it called?
Oh
Cyberpunk.
yeah.
Yep, cyberpunk. Yeah, we fall into
Yeah.
that verse. Yep, we fall into the verse of
Instead of
cyberpunk.
swords, everybody has a gun.
Yep, we're all yep, we're rolling.
This
into
is taken.
like what
this
the
is
heck
gone,
just
like,
happened?
Yeah, this
way
is-
left field here.
this-
Way
this-
out.
This
I
went
love
down
that.
the rabbit hole.
Oh,
Right.
oh, so instead
That
of
rabbit
Trolling
hole is
shooting me in the
crazy.
neck with that dart, she hacked my cyber brain.
Oh,
Yeah,
There you go.
Your HUD starts like wigging out.
yeah.
right.
I have cybernetic dragon tattoos and shit.
Oh shit.
Here we
The
go.
story writes itself.
Here we
I
go.
think that's gonna be my next tattoo. Like legitimately, on my left rib cage, I'm gonna get a cybernetic dragon tattoo. That's it, bro. You've decided. I don't even have to decide. Like as soon as
Anyone
they come out
watching
of your
is
mouth,
like,
that-
What the fuck are they talking about?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Sorry, guys. Okay. So back to stream. So Roland, you're making your way southward along the street there. And the rest of you, like Ricard, Kidron, and Skodrick, you are tightly packed in this rickshaw. Skodrick, having made this, having cast this ritual cast this ability, this spell, so that he could attempt to identify the sword that Kidron now wields. A gift given him by a commune that recently took place, a spiritual commune that recently took place. So Atlas, as you're standing there, your father, your girlfriend, and Ulfni have all kind of been discussing the events. You guys have made your way. Atlas, you've made your way with Ulfni and your girlfriend.
I got my way or made my way?
Made your way back into the dining room.
Okay.
Made
gotcha.
your way back into the dining room. So you're all kind of sitting down. Your girlfriend holding this little little cup of tea with the little saucer, and it's rattling just ever so slightly. The nervousness of her hands. Your mom absolutely distraught with the circumstances, especially after having heard Atlas or Ulfni's description of what he would like to do and to carry out. So your girlfriend asking, many questions about the events or whatever, Ulfni then describing to her what has taken place once again. And then she goes on to tell you, or to admit to all of you that she has been following Ulfni for some time now, trying to figure out why he's been acting differently, under the impression that he was still you, except acting very, very strangely, and said that she even made an attempt to approach him and get his attention in the street, and then basically having been snuffed by him, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was weird to see me walking again.
Right. Yep. And so she's been following him for a while, though at a great distance. And there was one particular period she mentioned that he had left the city for an extended period of time, for like a week or two, and then had come back. Anyways, just acting strangely. Or sorry, not for a week or two, but for like a few days. There were a few days stint where he had left the city and come back. Anyway, so so Roland, you're making your way down the street, and as you're walking down the street, nobody seems to take any particular note of you or notice of you or whatever. On foot, the travel being a little bit slower than you would like it to be, but you're still making your way southward. There is like one fancily clad half orc who passes by, and he's just kind of like, nice boots, as he walks by, though not stopping to converse with you at all, and glancing back just out of curiosity to see if he seemed to have any additional intent there. He keeps on walking and doesn't make any move or motion to anybody or anything.
I'm okay. I'm going to just kind of ask him really fast. Or just say like, "Oh, thank you. I was actually looking to sell these. Heard there was a shop close by. I'm just gonna give her the name of Ricard's family shop to see if he knows where it is."
Okay. So you mentioned the name to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's been here for a while." And he says, "But it's not close by in the least bit." Go ahead, Kidron.
I was gonna say I do a perception check on him.
No, this is happening with Roland, so this is not something that you guys are a part of. So so you've ridden with Ricard. You've been on the rickshaw with Ricard and Skodrick. You guys making your way south. So at this point, you guys are probably having turned onto Waterdeep Way and beginning to make your way, kind of through this area, closer to the Dock Ward area. Anyway, so Roland proceeds to describe to you the directions. He gives you the directions on how to get there. He mentions that, it's in the Dock Ward. It's not really close to where you are right now. He said, on foot, it's probably going to take you a while to get there, but if you would hire like a horse or a rickshaw or a carriage, it would be quicker. Or he said, if you used your boots, that would be the quickest way.
Oh yes, I'm sure. It's just kind of, weird. Everyone stares at you. I'm sure you understand. But I guess as far as the shop, as far as what you know about it, they have pretty fair prices. Anything I need to know? Like, I've only heard rumors.
And he says, well, I mean, the prices there are just like any shop. You go in, you can haggle sometimes, and sometimes you can't, given the rarity of the items. Or he says, every once in a while, I'll go in, and they do seem to have a nice assortment of magical items to purchase.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, well, thank you for the information, sir. I'm sure I'll get there eventually today. Either in the next hours or so. Uh, but again, what was your name?
And he looks at you and says, I'm Moki. What is
What?
your name?
What was his name?
Moki?
Moki?
Yep.
How do you spell that?
Are you asking him that?
No, I'm asking you. I'm sorry, the DM.
For a moment, I thought
Oh,
you said Mowgli.
Yeah,
So
just make sure.
that's something that Roland wouldn't just know.
He wouldn't know. Oh, he wouldn't know the name. Okay. Just trying
I
to make
mean,
sure I say it.
Roland's guess is as good as yours is.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure I say it right because I heard Moki.
Moki, yeah.
Moki. Okay, that's right. Okay, cool. All right. Just put that in here in the way that I believe it's spelled, and then hope that never comes up later. Uh,
Nice.
all right. So yeah.
Suddenly, a horde of bandits jump out. Moki at the head of them.
Okay, so he asked me what my name was.
Yeah.
My name is Richard.
Motherfucker. Sorry, I didn't say that. I'm not there. Outside the game.
Perfect.
No,
Right there.
they went to my head.
Motherfucker.
Anyone watching, that's the inside joke as well.
I'm sure there's been mention in it in some of our previous episodes. So if you guys go back
I've
and
tried to
watch,
stop calling him that, but
Um,
I don't know.
Only when he's not around.
That makes me feel like Roland actually has some fondness towards Ricard. I wish he knew that. Damn.
He doesn't.
Jesus, man.
Damn.
I know. 7.
Oh man.
Yeah.
all right.
Oh no.
Lathander tells me that Roland does not like you, Ricard.
He's been watching from up above.
Jesus.
So Atlas, after a bit more conversation and discussion, and some maybe some compromising between your parents and your girlfriend and Ulfney and everything, Ulfney finally says that he's got to make his way back to essentially what is his home warehouse, which should be in Verdusk, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
Anyway, so he says he's got to make his way back to that home warehouse, and he needs to. He's got some things that he needs to check on there. There are a couple of things that he needs to readdress, and then he says that. And after he says that, he asks you guys if there's a particular location, like a room or something, that is not often used with a decent amount of space in it, that he could essentially rent from you or your parents for an extended amount of time. He
Hey, mom and dad, can he rent my room and he pay me for it?
and they
Like
turn to
raise my
you.
eyebrows.
They're both looking, and again, with reluctance on their face, and they ask for what reason. He then says that he wants to make the travel from his home warehouse to here much quicker. And then he asks, or they ask him how, and he goes through the process of describing how he would make this travel much quicker. And so after a little bit of reluctance, let's see. After a little bit of some reluctant compromisation, he looks at you, Atlas, for help
Okay.
in convincing them to do this.
So, you guys might not know everything that there is to know about the dragon cult, but I've seen these guys before, and they're pretty dangerous. And I think that it's really important that Ulfney has a safe place where he can go back and forth between, Burdusk. And if he needs to use my room, I've actually got some friends that I've been hanging out with a lot lately. They've been, protective over me, and I've been protective over them. And I care about these people. So eventually, I'm probably going to meet back up with them to see what we can do. But I'm willing to give up my room, and I can move all my stuff out or whatever. I just think it would be a bad idea for Ulfney to be anywhere else doing this in the city where it might be unsafe. Think about what, Chantia would say, our goddess, Chantia. She's about the hope of life and about the hope of prosperous life. And I really wouldn't want Ulfney to, be hurt, or especially not using my body.
So make a persuasion check, but with advantage. That absolutely
I'm
would.
also going to use Flash of Genius.
You know what? No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because
Okay.
that would be pretty convincing. That would be a very convincing, especially for your parents. Okay, so they finally agree, and they agree to the sum of 15 gold pieces a week. Ulfney
Ooh.
expresses or says that he's not going to be actively using the room. He just needs to make the space available and empty consistently so that he can set up something.
I've got a compromise. I guess I'll interrupt their gold talk. You get me some masterwork half plate armor, and we'll be good.
Make another persuasion check. Or no,
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, make a persuasion.
Okay. This one I will use Flash of Genius on.
Okay.
So it's a total of 16.
Okay. He looks and he says, he thinks that if he can find it for the right price, he might be okay with that. But note that he might not be able to find it for the right price.
Well, I mean, maybe you can get it for the wrong price.
He says there's only a certain amount he's willing to pay for.
That would be fine.
He says depending on the amount of time, that would cost a considerable amount more than just the 15 gold a week.
Well, what would you be willing to pay for half plate armor? I guess, in your opinion, what would be a good price for half plate armor? Because I might be able to pull together some money and aid you in your quest to getting some of that armor.
So he reminds you that you
probably not that much.
Well, he reminds you that you specified masterwork half plate armor. He said just half plate armor would be much easier to come by.
Just out of character, the reason I mentioned masterwork is is it different in 5e where you don't have to have masterwork armor, or is it, you know what I'm talking about, Van? You remember in 3.5?
Go ahead. What now?
I don't know if in 5th edition there's a difference between masterwork and standard armor, but I remember in 3.5 there was. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And I don't think that, I think it's up to me. In 5th edition.
Well, everything's up to you.
Yes, it is.
In 3.5, you had to have masterwork, and it gave a +1 to attack. You had to have masterwork in order for it to be magical.
Okay, that makes. I don't know if that's how it is in
5th edition. I don't think it's part of being magical. But masterwork weapons give a +1 to attack, not damage. Same similar thing. If that's what the DM allows for.
Perfect.
Yep. And masterwork armor. Let's see.
It doesn't look like
I don't think it does anything for armor.
Specified.
I think in 5th edition, there's like for masterwork armor, there's technically no equivalent other than just like +1 armor, which is magical.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
like
that's
I would go back and tell him like, oh well, when I mean masterwork, I mean like just good quality work. Doesn't have to be magical. When he mentions it's a steeper price or whatever.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So he says that he would likely be able to find that for a much more acceptable
Yeah.
price. Cool. So you guys agree, and then he then makes his way into your room. He leaves the room and makes his way into your room.
Oh, is my dog around, by the way?
It is not.
Mom, where's Moxie?
And she kind of looks at you for a minute and then looks over at your dad.
Oh God.
And your dad looks and is like,
Oh no.
Well, so
No.
it's not dead. We're sure.
What do you mean it?
Your dog is not dead. We're sure of that. Your dog may have.
I hear.
I feel like I just
Yeah,
heard
I
him.
hear
I
the
just heard,
dog
I just heard Moxie.
I hope you didn't. I hope the check can hear that.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Oh man.
That's funny. I just muted it.
In case you guys didn't hear, there was a dog in the background
Actually
of one of our chats.
What perfect timing.
Right.
I was. It killed me when you said, "What do you mean it?" It's just like.
Yeah, that too.
Well, your dog may have followed Ulfney out.
I'm just gonna shoot a glance.
A few days back, and hasn't come back yet.
Ulfney,
Oh shit.
so what happened to my dog?
And then Ulfney begins to explain that he figured that your dog would just make its way back home. Wasn't 100% sure of its familiarity or abilities or how trained it was or anything of that nature. And so assumed that it would just make its way back home. And so he says that, after traveling, a couple hundred feet away from your home, he then shooed it away. And
you just let him go?
kept traveling, yeah. And he said
You just let him go.
right.
So I'm thinking maybe half plate armor and a greatsword.
Is a greatsword really going to be enough to replace your dog?
No, there is.
This is completely out of character.
I almost just like went into a tirade. And like you make a good point actually, and it makes me think. But there's nothing that could replace Moxie. But I feel like you knew that and like kept it from me for some reason. You had all this time to tell me. It meant a lot, and I'm a little upset.
Sorry, I'm breaking character. I'm breaking immersion here. So he explains that there were you can imagine that there were many other things on the forefront of his mind.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't thinking about you and your personal set of circumstances. He just knows that he woke up and he needed to rectify the situation, and so that's what was on the forefront of his mind as he was rapidly making his way out of the home, with your parents in deep confusion about the circumstances. So he says that he apologizes for your dog, and says that if the dog isn't found or it's not possible for the dog to be found, he would gladly throw in a great sword And
Well, I'm hoping the dog is. I'm gonna find my dog. Like, not even just gonna say I'm hoping. I'm gonna find my dog.
And your girlfriend says that she's gonna absolutely help.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we have to find Moxie. Like, there's no way I can't. That was like my companion. Like, Moxie was everything to me. And then I look over at Bologna and I'm like, okay. But anyway, so that dog was like everything to me. And you let him go. And, you know, I think at some point we're going to have to talk about this discretion, but we've got other important things on the plate right now. So, where do we go from here?
And Ulfni looks and says, well, he feels like perhaps he could spend a day or two trying to locate your dog. And then, you know, Bologna says that she will absolutely help out with that, and maybe they can get a little party together to look for it. Your parents mentioned that they've attempted to look for it for a bit and hadn't really had success.
It's a big city.
And so Bologna, she kind of stands up and she looks at you and she says, she puts her hands on either of your shoulders and she looks at you in your face and she says, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. We're going to find Moxie. And then she kisses your faceplate again, and then she like moves and she looks back at your parents and she's like, sorry, we've been hiding this for so long. She says, hopefully I'll find the dog and be able to rectify any misgivings you feel about me or the situation. And then she kind of like makes her way walking rapidly, makes her way out of the house.
There's only, you know, one other place that I think that he might have went. But I think maybe I should get back together with my friends first and maybe we can go there instead of just running around the city. I don't, like, honestly, Ulfni, we're cool. I don't want you to think that I'm extra mad at you. I'm a little upset about it, but I know you've got actually important things to do. And Moxie is really important to me, but I think maybe I can handle that. I mean, for instance, you've got things to do like setting up the portal. You got to, you know, collect a great sword and half plate armor and all these different things. So I was thinking maybe you can take care of that stuff and I can take care of the dog. And maybe Bologna, you can come with me. But I'm thinking maybe, do you remember Chandler, Bologna? You met him a few times?
And she nods her head.
Okay, maybe we should head there, but first I'm going to meet up with my group first. But other than that, Ulfni, was there anything else you needed to let me know before you go, you know, run all those errands?
And he says, just to try and keep yourself intact because he can't ensure the consistency or safety of your soul being attached to this entity if anything is to happen to it.
Okay. I'll be careful.
At that, he turns and begins to make his way back into your room.
And at that point, I say to Bologna, you know, I need to blow off some steam. You still got your connections at the club?
And she says, she nods her head again.
Okay, we'll talk. Do you want to come with me to try to find my group?
And she says, yes, of course.
Yeah. Now I'm going to tell my mom and dad. I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to say this is what I'm going to go do.
He said, your father looks at you and he's just like, if you feel that's what you need to do, then we understand, given the circumstances.
Well, I'm upset, and I think, and of course I speak to them in this way, becoming
Right.
a kid again. I'm upset, and I just think, you know, it's the best thing to do. And then I just leave.
and they just kind of watch you as you walk out the door.
All right.
Okay. So, Ricard, Kidron, and Skodrick, you guys have made your way at this point a fair distance down Snail Street into the dock ward. And as you make your way into the dock ward, you get the
DM.
hint of yes,
Could I, on our way, I'd like to send, since we haven't seen hide nor hair of Roland at this point, I assume.
sure.
I'd like
Right.
to send Lenara, my pseudo dragon, up to just try and find him.
Okay.
Without going more than 100 feet from my position.
And
Right.
on that note, I forgot to say,
Uh-huh.
I would have a cart or hired a cart to get me
Okay.
there faster. If that would
Okay.
cost- But
Yep.
Okay.
Sure
Sorry for
thing.
interrupting.
No, you're fine. So as you guys are traveling southward down Snail Street, you feel like the air change, like the currents coming through the dock portion of this area, or whatever, the dock portion of Waterdeep. The currents bring in different air, and so the wind is kind of whirling, and there's a couple of degree change in temperature that you feel, and you smell sea in the air, and you hear, maybe there are a couple of gull squeaks that you guys hear in the air as you're traveling in this area, and you definitely see in and among the population here, there's a change in the persona, a change in who roams this area. You see a lot more people that you could identify as sailors and ship captains and things like that, or maybe not ship captains specifically, but ship hands, and there definitely is a bit of a different feel of this area of the dock ward. So you guys are making your way down Snail Street, and then the guy pulling the rickshaw, he looks back at you guys and says which shop, or asks you which shop it is again that you're going to.
I tell him Stoneflyer.
And he says, very good, very good. And then he makes a westward turn. Okay. So Roland, you've flagged down a horse-drawn cart that's traveling, down the street that you're traveling down, and he pulls over, offers his price, which you find to be a very fair price. It's like 5 silver or something, 10 silver or something like that. And
piece of gold.
Okay. And he begins to make your way down southward down Warrior's Way. So as you continue to put distance between you and the area, you get the sense that things are a lot calmer. You don't hear or see any of the guardsmen like calling for you or talking to you or looking for you or whatever. There doesn't seem to be any note of search in this area. There's no air of any immediate danger, immediate, like you're aware of the circumstances, and it just seems like you've gone far away enough from the area that you were in that you would, you could safely reveal yourself without being identified. So.
Okay, if I know that, I'm just gonna fly the rest of the way. It's faster.
Okay.
If it's faster.
Okay. So do you just like take off? Are you going to stop the?
I'll let them know I'm getting out.
Okay.
And I'll give them another piece of gold and don't tell anybody you saw me do this.
And
then leave.
You hand him the second piece of gold, and he has this look of amazed appreciation on his face, and he's like, very well, and he looks and he says he was a little bit confused as to why you would hire a horse when you have winged boots.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, but thank you for your generosity, and he kind of bows a few times, and he says, I think I'm going to take the rest of the day off. And he swings his horse and cart around and begins to make his way back northward.
And Do you have an estimated amount of time as to how long it would take me to fly from where I am right now to the?
Okay, so given that you're further closer towards Waterdeep Way, if you were to fly, let's see. Well, as the crow flies, I think it'd probably take you about 10, maybe 15 minutes from here.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think this is the only time I've felt that that statement legitimately applies.
Sure.
As the crow flies.
Right. Okay, so Atlas, you're making your way down towards. You said you wanted to meet up with your friends first. So if you don't
Meaning the
mind.
party.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. When I was saying friends to all of them, they didn't know who anyone was except for Ulfney. So
Right. And Bologna would have assumed that you were talking about maybe like your trainer or
yeah,
maybe some
when
of
I
the guys
mentioned all
that
that,
you
I
used to
was like,
roll with.
oh, no, I meant more like just the party. And then after I met up with them, I would go to Chandler and see if the dog is there. Because I didn't want to stray too far from them. I guess that was like my mentality there.
Okay. So your immediate attention is to figure out or find where they were.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So make 2 checks for me. Do a history check and an intelligence check.
Okay. I was also gonna ask, do I know what time it is by any chance?
Sure. So it'd be like I believe at this point it was like late afternoon.
Okay. So on the history check, I got a 23, and then on intelligence, I got an 11.
Okay, so you do recall having spoken with the party, thinking about like, okay, where might they go in Waterdeep? And there are a few locations that you think of. And you think of the location where the High Lady was met the first time, where Ulfney's one like sub workshop is in the basement of that building. So you think of that location. You think of the warehouse and the how you guys had kind of taken refuge in the warehouse for a few hours earlier, and then you recall Ricard having mentioned the family shop in Waterdeep. Now you don't recall him having mentioned specifically where, but you do recall in some of your past travel up to this point him having talked about it. And it was something that he had talked about. He might have mentioned being excited about, or had talked about. It was a family-run business.
Do I know his last name?
I don't think Ricard has ever mentioned his last name in your presence, but he would have likely mentioned the shop name.
Oh, okay. I'll take
And
that.
so that's something that you would recall. You would have remembered him mentioning the shop name to you.
Maybe before I leave, I would turn around and ask my dad if he knows about that shop.
Okay, so as you ask him that, he says that it's not a place that he's been to himself, but he does recall there having been one in the south portion of Waterdeep, and he says that he feels like he has passed it at some point in making deliveries or in riding with some of the deliveries, though he doesn't recall specifically if it were in the dock ward or the southern ward. He just knows that it is towards the southern portion of Waterdeep.
Okay. I'll go, well, that's where I'm headed if you guys need me.
And so they both, they nod at you. They give you their love. They mention that they're hopeful about the discovery of Moxie's location, and they said that they're going to try and decompress from everything that's gone on. One of them makes some kind of joke about needing to see a cardiologist at this point, and then
and I'll just I'll whistle at my what is it, the Steel Defender. Come here, boy, and then I'll open up my chest and let him jump in or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So the this animatronic creature that separated itself from your chest cavity kind of makes its way over to you, very awkwardly, like moves up your legs and then folds its legs as it replaces itself into your chest cavity.
All right.
Bologna standing there next to you, just looking at you in like complete bewilderment as to everything that's transpired and still trying to take it all in and adjust herself.
And then I'll look to her and I'll go, "Come on, girl." I'll just play with her.
She absentmindedly like punches you in the arm. And then
Fair enough. Fair enough.
kind of like works her hand after having punched you in the arm. And she's like, yeah, that's going to be something I need to get used to. Like rubbing her knuckles.
Let's head on out.
Okay, so she instinctively motions to try and motion down or flag down a horse-drawn carriage. As you guys are walking through the street, and she does. She flags one over and pops the required amount of silver into his hand, and then climbs into the back of the carriage. And she looks at you and says, now what was the name of that place you said?
Do I recall the specific name?
So you don't have the name specifically, but you have a general.
Well, we just need to get to the South Ward.
And he says, okay. And so he turns the cart and begins making his way down towards the south cart.
I'm gonna throw up my hood.
Okay. Very good. All right. So, Ricard, Skodrick, and Kidron, you guys have made your way through the dock ward, and you turn onto Presper Street. And as you turn onto Presper Street, you approach like this opening. There's like a line of buildings, and it's just a variation of like shops, and like there's like a tavern or two in this area. There are a couple of buildings that have some appearance of legality. You see like there's like one particular building here that has like a dockmaster listed on it. So it seems there's a fair amount of business in this area. Go ahead, Ricard.
I was trying to, without interrupting you, DM. We turned from Snail Street onto Presper. Did I understand that right? Okay.
Yes. So you've made your way.
Got you. So as we make that turn, I'll go. There's somewhere that Atlas might find entertaining. As I'm looking over at Ron at Skodrick. Damn it.
Yeah. Ricard's pointing as you guys are making this turn or whatever. There's a particular tavern there on the corner called the Bloody Fist.
Oof. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you might enjoy that.
Yeah. They usually get a little bit rowdy. Not necessarily.
Okay,
If they're necessarily bad people, but yeah.
So you guys make that turn, and you're traveling down Presper Street, and you turn on this southern portion of this little corner or this little block that is adjacent to Presper Street. There's an opening in the buildings large enough for like a few horse-drawn carts to pass among each other with ease. And so the cart kind of pulls into that, and Ricard, you just have this flood of familiarity of this particular area, and it's just right there in that the center of that kind of block. The cart moves around, and you see this one particular building, and this one particular building kind of stands out from among the rest. You see that there's like this stone wall that kind of borders the north and south portion. This building is facing eastward, and the stone wall is fairly low. It's considerably lower than what you would normally see. So it probably just comes. It's about knee high. on either side. And you see in the front of this building, there's like this little, it's almost like a yard, like a front yard kind of deal. There's this pathway that of stone steps that kind of weaves back and forth, kind of snaking its way up to the front door of this building. And the front door of this building, there's a porch. There's a porch there to the left and right of the front door, and on the porch you see like these little statuettes and structures of various things. All of them being hewn from wood or stone or something, carved from wood or hewn from stone. All of them depicting some sort of gnome or halfling that Ricard, you actually recognize the depiction of some of these little statuettes that exist along either side of this. So the cart pulls to the stop in front of this little building here. You look at the top of the building, and on the top of the building there is a small windmill kind of twisting in the wind. Being in the dock ward is pretty good area for this, or for something like this, given the idea that the current is bringing the breeze in constantly. So this windmill is just continuously spinning. It's a fairly small windmill. But it's sitting on top of the roof of this building. The roof of the building being made from, layered clay slats. The stonework on the sides being very nice, cut intricately to make, little shapes and things, mazes that kind of weave through and across the front and sides of the building. So you approach. There are the title of the building is crested and printed on the front of the door. The door being this hand-carved mahogany held together by iron bands. Looks like a very heavy door. As you guys approach, the door just kind of swings open on its own.
I grab Ricard's shoulder and I say, it's been a long time. Are you sure you're ready for this?
This is home away from home, Skandrick.
All right. Then I
And
say,
as the door swings open, is there somebody standing there?
No, it has seemingly swinged open with no assistance.
And so I say, well, Bahamut be with us then. I cast guidance on you.
Okay.
It's not needed here. I walk up, and as I get close to the door, do I hear the doorbell that's hanging from the top of the door ring?
Yes,
I get
absolutely.
close, say, Gemma? And I kind of look in. Do I see anybody in the shop, or?
So you do. You see there are about five. So there are 2 halflings and 3 gnomes. None of whom actually that you recognize. And they're all scurrying in and out of the aisles, back and forth. And when you look in and say the name, they all kind of stop and turn. And one of them looks at you and says, "Oh, you must be Ricard," in this really high-pitched kind of squeaky voice. And he kind of comes waddling over, and he just reaches out like up to you and like grabs your hand and starts shaking your hand. Of course, he's so short that he's like reaching up, like.
And I kind of kneel down and go, "Hey, I don't believe I know you."
And he says, "Oh, but I feel like I know you. I've been told so much about you. It's such an honor to meet you, sir. We are so happy to be here."
Where is Gemma?
And they then begin to tell you of how your family friends who were running the shop originally, how they'll probably be in later in the week. They had traveled off to see your Uncle Zanarian. And just to, with the purposes of acquisitioning some additional items, which you see the shelves in the store are pretty well stocked. And they seem to be quite busy. There are a couple of other people kind of wandering the shop. You see them, picking up various trinkets and things, kind of looking, perusing the various sections of the shop. And so these halflings and gnomes, they then describe to you, or they inform you that they're part of the extended family. And they said that they've come from one of the villages that was raided by the dragon cult and some of the recent activities. And so they said that some of their information gathering informed them that there were going to be problems in the future, and so they decided to move their location and made their way into this particular shop. And so
it has been rather rough out there. I'm kind of worried about Gemma traveling, even if it is to see my uncle.
And so they kind of expressed their compassion in that regard. They said that there was no need for Gemma to leave, but Gemma expressed to them that they wanted to acquire some additional things, and so Gemma went with a group of people off to Seasonarian.
Okay. There used to be a teleportation rune set up in the basement. I asked him if Gemma ever got it working, or if it's still kind of out of commission.
And they look at you and they say that they haven't seen it working themselves, but they feel like Gemma's used it before.
Yeah, but it was broken a long time ago, so she would be the only one that knows the word. If nobody here, the command word, if nobody here's used it, then it wouldn't help. Okay. Well, that was one option to get some help, but I kind of look back at Skadrick and Kidron, and y'all kind of realized, like, as I walked in, it was the way I spoke and the way I carried myself was like I was walking in like my aunt or uncle's house. It wasn't like I was walking in a shop.
Right.
I say, well, everyone, welcome to Stoneflyer, the best adventuring shop in the dock ward. Most well-known gem in Southern Waterdeep.
Where does the shop sell?
Well,
so as you guys are looking around, when you take a step in, there are all manner of like little trinkets and just a wide variety of magical items in this shop. So the gnome that has shaken your hand, Ricard, he says that his name is Nesso. Again, he mentions again that it's an honor to meet you, and he says, "Oh, by the way, there was something that he was supposed to, that they were supposed to give you, if you were to arrive." And he kind of rapidly moves away into the back. Mentioning that he'll be right back.
Okay. I look at Skadrick and I say a little bit of everything. As one of my family friends would create magic items, but they usually have. He's the one that made the transfer, the teleportation circle, and it's not the most reliable thing in the world. So, and that kind of sums him up. They usually do what he made. He usually did something spectacular half the time, and the other half of the time, it just about might as well blow up. So
Interesting.
it usually is. It's actually what led us to change the front of the shop. It blew up a couple of times.
DM, am I anywhere around when he said that? Please say I remember what he said.
So you arrive there very shortly after they have. And as you arrive, you see the cart that they had arrived on. They've gotten off of, and that cart has turned and made its way offward. And so you kind of see them walk into the building from a distance. So you've arrived almost around the same time, roughly. So you pull up, you see all the same, the snaking walkway up to the front door that is with the knee-high wall on both the south and north borders of this property, with all of the little depictions of halflings and gnomes carved or hewn out of stone all across the front of the building, with the interweaving intricate masonry. And just as you arrive, you see the door closing.
Okay, I can't hear anything going on inside.
Nope.
Damn. All right. Can I? The door. I'm assuming the door doesn't automatically open for me. It was just like a Ricard thing, or is it?
So as you approach, the door does actually open.
Oh, okay.
So Ricard, Kidron, and Skadric, as you guys are all standing there, you hear the bell jingle. That as the door swings open, the bell hanging low enough that the top of the door hits the bottom of the bell, causing it to jingle just as the door opens. And as you look now, there was in fact nobody on the inside opening the door, so it did in fact open by itself.
Gotcha.
Do we see Roland standing there?
Yep,
Awesome.
absolutely.
I'm in disguise. You don't know it's me. You don't know it's me. I'm in disguise.
It is absolutely Roland, except that he's adjusted his cloak some to try and hide a bit of his face.
Okay.
I see you have entered secret sneaky master of doors mode, Roland.
Yes. So much so the door just opened automatically when I stepped up to it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Didn't think so.
You lost the guards.
One can only hope. So this is
there's a back door if they show up. It's okay.
There's always a back door. Anyway,
that's what she said.
Anyway, I'm just gonna look around the shop, get a good, take it in. Just like, okay, all right, nice, nice molding, crown molding on the. Okay, nice. Just checking for dust.
It's a pretty it's a pretty well kept place. And some of the things that you see are quite fascinating. There's like this, there's almost like what you would consider a light fixture hanging in the center of the room, and it has a variation of different colored crystals hanging around the outside, and it's kind of twisting on its own, it seems. Though it is attached to the ceiling by some roping or whatever, it seems to be twisting about on its own. There are, quite a few very fascinating little trinkets and things that seem to be wandering around the floor in this area. That they, as you kind of walk through, they kind of move out of your way.
So, like, Beauty and the Beast, like the objects that should be inanimate are like moving around. Is that what you're saying?
No, not quite like that.
Okay.
So it's not like animated constructs or anything like that.
Gotcha.
It's not. It seems to be that they're like little trinkets that are similar to like what you recalled of the wind-up spiders or whatever, but they're not necessarily clockwork in nature. They definitely seem to be magically imbued to some extent. Though it looks like that they were built or created to be movable.
Gotcha.
We're not sponsored by Disney.
Just I look over at
We're
Roland
not.
and I
Or
go,
advertisement.
don't step on them. Okay.
Why?
They might explode if you step on them.
That tracks. That definitely tracks with you. So
shake my head.
How long you guys just got here, right?
We did actually. You made very good time. How did you get here so fast?
Well, I mean, see the boots are pretty nice.
They are.
getting the hang of them. So you guys figure out what we're doing next. I mean, I know. Wait, Kedron.
I give a grin.
Kedron
I
looks.
give a grin. I look at him and give a grin.
I kind
Okay.
of point in the direction like where of his weapon of Kedron's
Right.
new sword.
Seems to have a
Kinda
glow
wink
about
at
him.
Roland.
It's like seem awfully cheery there, Kedron. You carrying some? You got something there? What's that?
I have a lot to share with you, asked Roland. I do.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean,
His holy buddy finally talked to him.
I kind of like. I'm like, really? And I look over at Skodrick and I'm like,
I'm
really?
smirking.
Like,
I'm
like,
smirking.
like, oh wow, that's absolutely fascinating. Any wisdom he shared with you at all?
No, absolutely.
Okay, you're just gonna be private thing. I understand. So he gave you something? Is that what we're supposed to? I'm inferring here.
Yes.
Okay. What did he give you, buddy?
Let's continue on.
Oh wow. You guys know what he gave him? I'm looking at you guys, looking at Ricard and Scott. You guys know?
Yeah.
I'm
Gotcha.
pointing at the sword still. I'm just like,
Well, I see that he had something. He did, apparently isn't gonna. Okay, it's fine. Secrets. Okay.
No
So
secrets at all.
yeah. Ricard. Nice shop. I don't know if I said that.
thank you. And Nesso should be back from the back in just a minute once he gets here. There's a lot to look at. We could spend a lot of time perusing, but if you hang on till he comes back from the back, then he might be able to point us in the direction of anything in here that might match what we're looking for, Roland.
Oh yeah, sure.
Save a lot of time.
Yeah. Saving time and also hopefully saving some money. Hopefully. Hopefully that'd be great.
It's not a steal of a deal.
Oh no, I understand. Right. You can't undercut.
You have to cover costs, right?
Yeah.
Is there by any chance like a waiting room?
Actually, do you mind, DM?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
As you so there's the rows of shelves. As you look to the back, there's a counter that's kind of like a normal shop would have, that's in the back of the store. But to the right of it, there's a large open archway. From it hangs a brass-colored rod with a opalescent colored sheet covering it. I say, if you want, we can step back there, and that's the. Originally, this wasn't a store; this was a house, so that actually goes back into the kitchen, and we can sit down, take a breather, and wait there for Nesso to come out of the back.
Okay.
And when I say the back, I kind of pointed at a door that's right behind the counter that looks like it goes under the stairs, but the stairs that run upstairs are pretty much right against the wall. So let's see, y'all want to step back and have a drink?
Yeah, I can here in a second. There's just something I want to do. So I'm actually gonna find a nice little spot. Put some incense down. I'm gonna cast divination.
I will guard Master Skodrick.
It might be easier to do it back there. There's actually a good bit of room.
Okay. Yeah, wherever you suggest, I'll just head that way.
Okay. And what's your question going to be?
Who in the Waterdeep Council is betraying us?
Okay. So Atlas, keeping in mind that your discussion and interaction with your parents and Ulfney and all of that was taking place like from the moment that you arrived at your home after having left the stadium upon Ricard's death, and so that extent of time has been happening parallel to all this other stuff, right? So you find yourself traveling now along the Way of the Dragon towards
Okay.
the southern portion of the southern ward.
Great.
So you're passing, like, let's say that only minutes ago you passed the Medusa's Glare and Tamar's Blessing, which is Tamar's Blessing being the tavern of mercenaries that you would know about, and then the Medusa's Glare, just being like one of the businesses in the area. So you've passed that and past Net Street, which is to your west. So that's kind of where you are right now.
Okay. Did he ever describe ever at all like what his parents' shop was like? Or the family business, I mean? Like anything that they sold while we were on our month's journey, did he happen to mention?
So I'd imagine that there was some description of some of the item types, or maybe even some discussion of like the family that worked there being some family friends of his, though he might not have said any specific names or anything, So you would have some idea of the fact that perhaps it was a family of gnomes and halflings that were running the place, and the fact that generally there's some odd magic items that can be retrieved or purchased there.
Well, I'll talk to the driver and just be like, well, do you know anywhere specifically in this area where I can find someplace where they sell like adventuring items and stuff, specifically some magic items?
And he thinks for
I'm
a
sure you
moment,
ride around here a lot.
and having rolled an 11 on his intelligence check, he kind of thinks about it and he says, well, yeah, there's quite a conglomeration of shops that can be purchased from. He said, is there something specific you're looking for?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm specifically looking for my friend. It's actually a family-owned business, but I won't be able to give you too much more detail about it because I don't think that I've ever been there before. But Bologna, you've watched some pit fights down here before. Do you know of maybe a place I'm thinking of?
And she says, no, but she mentions that if you guys were to stop in to like one of the local taverns or something, you could probably ask around.
That's perfect. Do you know? Well, do I know of any of the big taverns around here?
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and make an investigation check, but do so with advantage. So essentially what you're just looking for this particular shop, and you're doing so, with limited description or whatever.
Got me an 18 on that.
Okay. So all right. So eventually you make your way into a place that's called Brago's Beard Brewery,
Oh.
run by somebody that you would know is a little dwarven fellow who brews some incredibly strong ale. And it's not frequented by the general populace, but the clientele that it has is set on and very loyal to this specific tavern. Generally, the people who drink here are very hard people. people who are like, it's like the rough and tumble of the city, essentially, or at least this portion of the city. So you eventually make your way into there, and in asking the local denizens that are currently in that particular tavern, and describing what you're looking for, one of them mentions a strange shop that he's been to a time or two. Doesn't quite remember the name of it, but he says that it's run by some, or he doesn't know who it's run by, but he's only ever seen halflings or gnomes working there. And then he kind of mentions the direction, gives you a general direction of where that shop is. So,
Well,
and,
kind of shocked to hear that. Look over at Bologna and go, well, I know he's not related to halflings and stuff, but maybe we should check it out.
and she agrees. She says that, given this, given the little bit of detail that you guys know, it's definitely a start. Um, Okay. So you guys walk back out and get back into your horse-drawn carriage, who has kind of been waiting there for you, and he turns back northward, and then makes a left turn on Fillet Lane, which then cuts over to Snail Street, and then he makes his way back over northward up into that general area, eventually coming to Presper Street and turning right into that little break in the buildings, and then making his way over to the eastward side of that little center area, bringing you to that same winding walkway up to the building.
Okay.
Okay, so Nesso makes his way from the back, the little storage area that you know about, Ricard, and he's carrying with him a crate of an assortment of things. So he sets it down on the counter back in the back of the shop, to the, next to where the opening is. And of course, you guys have made your way into the kitchen, and so he looks at the other gnomes, and they kind of direct him into the kitchen. And so he comes back into the kitchenette area where you guys are sitting at a table, and he brings this crate with him. Now, it's kind of a funny sight to see, because the crate is his full wingspan. Like he's holding the crate, his arms are as wide as he can get them, and his eyes are just barely visible over the top of the crate. So it's pretty much as large as he is, and he seems to be struggling quite a bit with this crate or whatever. But in any case, he makes his way over to where the table is, sitting at the on the floor at the end of the table, and he climbs into a chair that's there, and he says, well, we have a small assortment of items, and he unfolds this piece of parchment that he pulled from the crate before he climbed the chair, and he begins to read off this list of items. One of them being like a self-retracting spyglass. He mentions that there are like 4 health potions in there. He mentions a couple of other little trinkets that I'm going to shoot you some details on, and then he mentions that there's also this bag in it.
Okay. I go, this what bag? Like a pouch?
And he pulls up what you guys could immediately identify as a bag of holding.
Well,
I just kind of look up in the air and at the roof of the kitchen. I'm like, really?
good old serendipity.
Rip one part, give us another one. Okay, that is amazing. Who was it from? Is it from Gemma?
And he says, "Yeah, yes, of course.
It's amazing.
Things that Gemma would have felt that you needed,
Yeah,
in and among your travels."
most definitely. Gosh, I wish I'd have gotten this a while ago.
This is all great. We definitely need the bag of holding, sure. The potions we haven't. We need those. I don't know. Look at Scottish and Kedron. Like we've needed those like this entire time.
Of course.
Feels like something's missing though. I feel like Scottish doing his thing here. Kedron has his sword. Okay. Ricard's back at his family shop.
What do you need, Rowan?
Just no. It's just I feel like
What?
I'm forgetting something. And it's
Oh,
yeah.
She's
Oh, yeah.
not.
Where's
where
the
the
Not here.
yeah, where the fuck? No, Kedron.
Wait,
Does anyone
where?
know
Here.
where Atlas
Master
is?
Roland.
This is what I'm asking.
Well, I haven't. He wasn't with y'all when you.
No,
Where is he?
He went to his family. Does anyone?
Oh.
I know I was waiting from you guys. I don't know if you guys tried to contact him. Again, I see
What
Scottish
was
a
the name
little
of his
busy.
family's business?
Do I recall what that was?
Do I recall what it
Did he
was?
even tell us what the family business name was?
You would have caught sight of the sign as you made your way
Roland.
into the warehouse.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's probably safe,
Can I-
Mr. Roland.
You're just in a
I'm
really good mood, aren't you,
I'm
Kedron?
just waiting for
Oh,
Atlas to go.
absolutely.
Confident.
I come in. Haven't you people
Most-
ever close?
I'm rolling. DM, I want to roll a history check. I got a 13.
Yeah.
Do I remember overhearing Atlas saying anything more than it was wasn't it like a grain business or something like that? I'm trying to remember. I'm really excited right now because I'm at home away from home.
Right.
Like I just got a goodie package.
Nice.
So you do remember some mention of his family owning a bread distribution business or whatever, and as you're kind of talking about it, as you're kind of talking it through, you mentioning it to your party members or whatever, Nesso immediately pipes up and mentions a particular baking distribution business that he knows of that distributes bread all throughout Waterdeep. That has quite a popular bread selection.
Did they have a son that maybe lost the ability to walk some time ago?
And Nesso mentions, yeah, it was actually quite tragic.
That would have to be him.
Wait, how exactly did he lose the ability to walk? Did he actually tell us? I know I just overheard him say it.
I told you guys.
You told us. Okay, you told us exactly. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Master Roland.
I don't think I gave you every little
Can't give me
detail, but I
details.
remember telling you guys.
Yeah, I remember it was an X. I should
Ask for details. Do you know any details about how he lost the ability to walk, Nesso?
And Nesso says that part of the story seems to always be left out when somebody's talking about it.
Understandable.
So with that, Nesso kind of asks you guys if there's anything else you guys need. If there's anything else that he can get you, you guys are welcome to stay for dinner. They can cook for you guys. They said that if you can stay for a couple of days, Gemma should be back.
We may very well need to do that.
Sure.
I explained to him fairly quickly what because if Nesso is here and Gemma decided that he was trustworthy enough
Right.
to be in charge of the shop, then I have no problem talking to him about what's going on. So
Sure.
not that even the stuff that might not necessarily need to be known, but
Right.
to a commoner that
Yeah, this is somebody that is very, very close to the family who is absolutely trustworthy and would not,
So I give him some details, let him know that we had some trouble coming into Waterdeep, and everything that's going on with the Cult of the Dragon. I tell him that's why I was really hoping to get to Gemma and possibly send a message to my family in Silver Moon. I said if you could help make sure letting her know and then letting them know what has happened.
And he
I
says,
would appreciate
certainly, we could do that right away. And then he kind of like jumps down out of the chair and then waddles out of the kitchen.
Before he walks
That's
on,
a record.
I was just gonna
Yes.
ask him to get like an inventory. If he has
Oh
one.
yeah. That's I was trying to look at the DM. Did you send it? I don't see where you sent me anything yet.
Oh no, I haven't sent it yet.
Like
I
a
haven't
list.
sent it
Okay.
yet. Yeah.
So what all did I kind of try and regather my thoughts?
Okay.
I look at
Nice.
Kidron and Roland. I'm like, what else did? Yes, Kidron. What else did we need?
I am actually seeking a shield at this time. Look to
Roland didn't buy the shield?
Roland as well, and I say, Master Roland, I would very much like a shield at this time.
Look at Carla. We gave that
Oh,
shield-
I can't hear you. Your mic's up. Your
Yeah.
mic.
I was like, we gave that shield to
Yeah.
Skodrick. I kind of tried to whisper to Ricard, like, didn't think I was going to seek him for a minute, so I didn't get him anything.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, yeah, we'll get your shield, buddy.
So I
Definitely get
kind
one.
of I say, Nesso, before you run off, we have another member of our band here that's not here. We need to try and get some provisions.
Yes, he would like some half plate. I don't want to forget that he wanted half plate. It's very specific.
Yeah. But what do we have as far as, and we kind of DM out of character, you've got the whole list of everything we were looking for right now, and I kind of rattle it off to him and say, these are the things we got so far. Unfortunately, we don't have, most of our money was taken when we came into the city, but we have some, so I know we can't cripple.
When you
I
say that,
take a bow and I.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
does Ricard, as soon as you say
I'll
that,
say
he becomes a little bit aggressive, and he says, "Somebody took your money."
We're gonna work to get it back. As I tell him, as I mentioned about some corrupt nobles. That's Cult of the
I
Dragon.
take a bow and I also say, I say that I have a full purse. I did not relinquish my purse.
Yeah, I didn't. I look over.
I'm willing to pay full price.
Okay.
Say, Kidron, we'll work it out.
So as you guys have, you made your way into the kitchenette and you're having this interaction with Nesso. Skodrick, you've kind of moved over to the side and lit some incense and begun like your ritual incantation that you utilize when attempting to communicate with Bahamut. So as you're doing this, the scent of the air kind of changes, and it almost just seems as if all other scents fade away, and the only scent that you can smell is that of the incense. As you do that, you're sitting there with your eyes closed, and the darkness from the inside of your eyelids fades and is pierced by this kind of white light that shines in and about you, and you almost kind of find yourself peering into this other, not necessarily other reality, but just like this other like white shining like space, right? And the image of two particular characters begin to kind of form in front of you. So you see kind of these two characters. They're standing beside each other and they're facing each other, and they appear to be in some sort of conversation, though you can't hear anything, so you don't hear what they're saying. One of the two characters, clad in this black velvet with gold trim, robing that has somewhat familiarity, though that you can tell 100% that you've not seen this person before. Hanging from beneath the robing is this pointed tail The figure stands about 6 foot tall, and has a pale purple skin. At the top, there is this very ornate headdress made from silver with like pearls kind of made into it, very fanciful, almost crown-like, almost in the shape of a tiara, made to contour these 2 horns that kind of circle up and back out of the head. In this very sensuous female voice, you suddenly begin to hear, almost in a whisper, her talking to this other figure, and the contents of the conversation is that of like espionage. You hear some also some of subject matter regarding extortion. You hear about money that or gold that's supposed to be funneled, through the nobility of Waterdeep, that instead is being utilized and funneled towards the dragon cult or whatever. Standing across from her, with white shiny hair, a pointed chin, sharp pointed ears, you see this 5'11" character. He is wearing a combination of black and green, also embroidered with gold. Gold lace or trim kind of flowing up and down his robes. And when his voice kind of comes in, seemingly a very, very pleasant voice, but also very deep. So this deep, pleasant words that kind of flow out of his mouth, kind of flow off of his tongue, almost very soothing, but something very sinister about them. You note that he is fully elvish. All of his attributes and features point to the fact, or to the effect that he's fully elvish.
So if I can just make a couple of assumptions. The first person is a female tiefling.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
And the second one is a full elf.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Battle Cry or Die, coming at you live.
So I guess the only thing I would try to put 2 and 2 together is what I've only heard the names. I guess I haven't heard of like how they would look, but I was definitely looking into like Hayworth Riven and Elven Ming. Would those match any kind of descriptions?
Say that last part again.
Would those match any kind of like the way I see them? Do they match any kind of descriptions I might have heard from them about them?
Oh, jeez.
So the only connections that you kind of make are some of the area that they've talked about. One of the places that they mention you recognize as the building or the courtyard that you guys had been to, where the one jailhouse is. And so some of the descriptions that those 2 people are talking about, they actually mention the passageway from the courtyard out. And so really that's, yes. And so that's kind of the description that you can put 2 and 2 together. Outside of that, it seems as if, and make a history check real quick.
All right. Nope. I rolled a 3. A natural 1.
Duh.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh
Um,
no.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't study for this.
So, thinking about it, you don't recognize any other associations. You definitely don't recognize their faces
Okay.
specifically.
I pretty much say thank you, Bahamut. I do your bidding.
Okay.
Did
I
he say
guess
that
it's-
out loud? Like
Yes.
that part?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what did you say out loud? What was that again?
I said thank you, Bahamut. I do your bidding.
Okay. So, Atlas, at this point, your cart has pulled up in front of this building with this winding, with the strangely low walls on the north and south ends of this property, with all of the little, all of the imagery hewn into statuettes all across the front of either side of this front porch of this building. So, yeah, so that's where you are right now.
And then I'm gonna walk in to this building.
Right. So as Skodrick, as you finish your prayer, your ritual casting there, and as you guys are describing to Nesso the situation, and Ricard, you've kind of recounted about your money, having been taken, or the gold largely having been taken from you guys. You hear the jingle of the front door. The jingle of the bell of the front door, I should say.
So as soon as that bell goes off, I stop and look towards I enter shop mode kind of for a split second as I
Okay.
stop completely stop talking and look at the sheet and go to stand up and head that way.
Okay. Nesso immediately stops as well. Go ahead, Kidron. I'm sorry.
I mirror Master Ricard.
Yeah, if I see him just immediately stop what he's saying, it's gonna be kind of weird. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I'm gonna walk over to see what he's looking
I
at.
start walking with Master Ricard.
I pretty much hop up
mirroring
and
him.
say, guys, I found I got some news.
Yeah. Skodrick, hold on. Something's going on with Skodrick.
I kind of pause as I hear Skodrick say that. Oh, what? Sorry, I just kind of. It's habit.
What are we doing?
What did Bahamut say? As I'm kind of hand in the opalescent cloth, which is,
Right.
if I didn't describe that correctly, it's like shimmering pearl almost.
Before I say
beautiful.
anything, I want to see who came in.
So Atlas, as you step through this door, you see from the back of the shop, which, by the way, Nesso has stopped his interaction also, and he's like, "Excuse me, guys, for just a moment. I'll be right back with you." And then he makes his way out of the kitchen area or whatever. And so, Atlas, as you step into the shop, whatever, you see this little gnome kind of come waddling or through the aisles and steps in front of you to greet you. And he's like, "Good day, sir. How may I help you?"
Hi. I don't mean to be impolite, but I'm actually not here for any items or anything. I was actually just looking for my friends.
Do we hear his
I
voice?
assure you, sir, that we don't sell people. Make a perception check.
Well, I'm not looking to buy people
Jesus.
per se.
I was gonna say.
Matter of fact, I've almost been sold myself a few times.
Okay, 23, and when I hear that, I have to know that that's that
Absolutely, you guys do. Y'all hear it.
Do I hear that?
Absolutely, 100% with your Alice.
I'm gonna go on through the sheet then.
Okay, Atlas, you see your friends emerge from the back there.
Hello.
Oh, what a coincidence. Well, not really. So I tracked you guys down for a little while.
Perfect.
It's pleasant seeing you all again. Roland, did you happen to, do anything about the armor we talked about?
While he's saying that, I'm looking at the person he's with, and I'm like looking at him, and I'm like looking back and forth. I'm like, and I kind of like point. I'm like, who's your friend here?
And I immediately whisper to Bologna. I say, he has a girlfriend. Her name is Trollop.
Oh.
Do I hear him say this?
So
I'll roll perception. I'll do it again.
Atlas, make a stealth check.
Oh jeez.
Roll and make
Okay.
another perception check.
God.
20. Come on. Come on.
Oh my God. Here we go. By the power of Lathander.
Oh jeez.
16!
Oh wow.
If only I used like a flash of genius, I would have made it, but that's okay.
Okay.
Did you say it? You
I'm
said
like-
it aloud. Speaking of which,
So Roland, you do hear him whisper to
Oh.
this person standing next to him.
Okay, so you're telling my business to this young lady here. Such
It's
a private,
our business. I've met her too.
but the part about her being
Your girlfriend.
nothing's official.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's the group's business, but it is potentially the group's business, being as her volitions
Okay.
or
so-
potential volitions. I'm not revealing anything. I'm just
It's
saying.
fine,
I'm
it's
not-
fine, it's fine.
I
please
kind of
continue.
lean over at Roland, going, "He's using like 10 silver words."
Yeah, I know he's like deflecting a lot. I'm not sure why he's deflecting. It's a little weird. Usually-
Okay, I'm gonna be
usually
honest with you
he's pretty
guys.
direct.
This is why I'm deflecting, okay?
Yeah.
And I was gonna talk to you guys about this immediately upon seeing you, but I said something about the armor first because I'm hiding this. My
Okay.
dog is missing.
Uh,
And-
missing.
Can
Okay.
I roll a
And did you hide
insight on
this?
that DM?
Can you roll a what on that?
Insight on that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, he's not technically lying.
No, I just yeah,
No.
but he's saying, "Oh no, the
No.
real reason
Yeah.
is," and that makes me suspicious.
Gotcha,
is the way
gotcha,
he phrased that.
So the way that he
And
kind of moves what are his brow, the way that eyebrows, like he kind of
I'm
shifts his
rolling
eyebrows. Yeah. So the way that he's kind of shifting his eyebrows seems to show some sort of concern when he mentions this.
okay, then
I'm
why
just
didn't you
saying-
ask if? Never mind. Whatever.
I'm gonna. Again, I didn't roll insight, but him saying that, I'm like,
whatever.
okay, I know you had a dog. That's terrible. I don't know. I've never had a pet, so I can't really relate. However, you still didn't answer my question. Is this your friend here? She is
Yeah.
assisting you in the search.
Long time. I've known her since we were what? And I look at her. I go, what? 16? Yeah, 16. Yeah.
How old are you again?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I told you I'm 19.
19.
No, three
He's known
years.
her for a while. 3 years.
Well, 3 or 4 years. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't.
You're human, right? You were human originally, correct?
Yeah, I
Just
was
trying-
originally human.
So you were going
I
through
smacked
puberty
Master Roland on
right
the
at
back.
the same time, and I can tell if she's a pretty girl, right? I can tell, right?
Yeah, if you want to throw that,
What's the
Alice,
big
if you want to throw
What's
that
her
picture in the
charisma?
chat.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Wait, what
I
doing?
got it right here. I'm sending a
So-
picture to the
Oh,
Discord
you have a
chat.
picture.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Sorry, Ron.
So
Because he can't see it because of Twitch.
so just picture
Oh,
this, except
jeez.
without the
We did Discord
without the
phone.
armor.
Yeah.
Oh,
I finally put it on there.
Okay, so you can see it, right?
Nice.
so you're putting it on there, or am I?
No, you can put it on there.
Okay, I
didn't
got
save
you.
it, so
I got it right here. This without the armor.
yeah, without the
let me
armor, and
make sure
just
it's
like
the right
robes
one.
and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect.
I would just apologize to chat.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Oh.
So I'm gonna.
So everybody goes, oh.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Where
For those of you in the
Uh,
chat who haven't figured it out, she's a
Where's
tiefling. So
Roland.
So
Right.
the tattoos are on her face too. All that it's the same.
Oh my god.
I don't know about the tattoos, but
Okay. The general look.
So with this, so for anybody in the chat, so she
There we go.
she is this
Condrick showing a picture.
slender. Oh, did you show?
I just held
He
it
held
up.
up
Just from
the
its
camera.
phone.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay, so anybody who wants to kill her.
So I'm just gonna infer, perhaps Atlas, this associate of yours, is more than just acquaintance, or more of a friend, more sort of a friend of the female persuasion. What's the word? I think you just used it. Girlfriend. Is that possibly what?
Well, I just said it, this is my friend. What would give you the inference that she would be anything beyond that?
The fact that you're avoiding the questions that I've been asking you, sir. I know how to
Well, you
lie.
know how we both are. Me and you are always having intellectual chess.
Are we? I feel like
We almost always are.
I feel like
I know you.
I say something and then it's like, oh, you don't know what that is. I usually I'm surprised that you. I'm not gonna say the
Maybe
word.
you just haven't been paying attention to how somewhat naive I've been acting around you.
I didn't use that word. I know what happens
No.
when I use that word.
I know that only I'm allowed to use the word now.
Okay.
I know. I'm just saying, perhaps you didn't notice the, kind of the act that
I was
I've
gonna
been
say
putting on a little
something.
bit.
I was gonna say something, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say this because I don't want any problems. I was to say don't. I was like, I'm not gonna say the N word.
Oh my gosh.
I still
Roland,
said it.
Roland,
Anyway,
I think the phrase you're looking for is he's a smart ass.
Oh yes. No. I was saying I wasn't gonna say naive. I whispered that to Ricard. Anyway, but regardless, yes. I mean, if she is in fact what I'm assuming she is, congratulations. Good
I mean,
job.
She
means
doesn't
at
look
least
like
it's not prejudiced. So
she.
What'd you
doesn't-
say, Scodrick?
She doesn't look like the one I just saw, does she?
Oh Jesus.
What do you mean?
No, not at all.
I was like, I'm over here. What do you mean?
So the one that you just saw has pale
skin.
pale purple skin with horns that curl down the back of her head.
Gotcha.
Bologna has the horns sticking out to either side, with the lightly sun-kissed complexion.
And just so I'm clear, DM, the way tieflings are viewed in this world, is it similar to how Atlas's parents were acting, or is it just his parents are kind of like that, or maybe a few other people?
No, so generally, being that tieflings typically exist or come from the Underdark, they're generally viewed in a negative type of light. Now, given that this particular city is Waterdeep, it has a little more diversity of those who would be looked upon as having a more being morally ambiguous, right? Or from the Underdark. So there's a little bit of a larger population of those types of people here. You're more likely to find in Waterdeep, maybe some, Drow or Tieflings or, some of those types of races would probably be a little more accepted in certain parts of Waterdeep than they would be in most other parts of the Sword Coast or whatever.
I'm gonna just ask Atlas. So you were with your family just now, correct?
Yeah, I spent a little time with them.
Okay, and she was there too?
Yeah, she was real surprised to see everything. But I mean, I will say this: there's something that I think I forgot at the house, and which I earlier about the armor. Ulfni actually proclaimed that he was going to help find me some half plate armor.
Really?
And give it to me.
Well, there you go.
Just give it to you?
Yeah, I don't know if you already set something up, but maybe.
No, not really.
Maybe. Oh no. Okay. Well, then I wouldn't worry about it.
I was looking.
He might be getting me a great sword too, because it was his fault that my dog ran off. So.
Wait. So he's giving you he lost your dog or killed your
Oh
dog?
yeah. No,
Wait,
no, no.
what?
He lost my dog. My dog's missing.
Okay, so
I
he's
do
giving you a great sword for losing your dog, or he's giving you the
Potentially.
armor for you losing your dog.
He's giving me the armor because he's well, maybe we should talk somewhere else. I don't know. Is your place warded by any chance?
Yes.
We need
Like
wards.
protection from warding?
Yeah. If you walk through this pearlescent sheet and you mean anybody in this house harm, you'll be covered in a sheet of acid. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I just mean I'm talking about like, is this place, protected from people listening in on our conversations? Because this is probably important.
If I may interject,
Oh,
Please,
Scott,
go ahead, Scott.
can we explain the dragon in the room?
the dragon. In the
That's
room.
not a dragon, it's a tiefling, Scodrick. You're the dragon.
No, okay.
My
You're
hand
the
up.
white
Is
dragon
it-
in there.
No, don't take this
There
the
are
wrong
elephants
way.
in this universe.
Don't. No, Atlas, don't take this the wrong way. But what are you
Okay.
doing here? You are out.
Me?
You were free. You could have done whatever you want. You could have lived happily with your family. Why are you back with us?
Why am I back with us? Or with you guys?
Put my hand, put both hands on Cedric.
Well, honestly, I didn't want to just leave you guys. Because I did
Right.
tell you that I was coming back to at least talk to you.
He's on retainer. We're gonna pay him.
Okay.
Last I
Well,
checked. He wants
Because
some-
and to answer your question with a
He's
little more
on-
detail, I don't want to just leave you guys hanging with everything that's going on. I'll stick around for at least a little while, but I still sort of have been thinking about what I said back in in the jail.
I think the real elephant in the room is, why are you not surprised that Ricard's alive?
that's a good question. Hey,
Because I know
I
I'm not. I wasn't surprised, and we did talk about it a little bit. But you didn't even. You know what?
Master Roland.
Yes.
I'm actually in on it. I'm with the highlight. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not with.
And Master Atlas, I would ask you and your lady to walk through the veil that
Okay.
Master Ricard has described.
The one with the acid drop. If someone does.
Yes, Master Ricard.
I don't know if I want to walk under the acid drop.
Yeah.
So
I
many
mean,
unexpected
you-
things
you-
have
I
happened in the
read it
last
and now
20
I'm
minutes.
just like, if somebody's
Well,
just crazy. How sensitive
We
is
will
that
all
trigger?
pass through it.
what was that, Roland?
I said, how sensitive is that trigger? Like, I call you up.
I
Like,
do laugh.
if I can say "fuck you, Ricard," is that going to be like, oh, he's threatening him acid, or
No.
okay?
No.
If I fling a dagger past your head, fully intending to miss,
Then
not
no.
saying I'll do that. No. Okay.
No.
Just got to see what the line is.
If you were trying
To
to,
be-
if you were planning on going back there if you were planning on passing through it and your intent was to rob us, kill us, plot against us, that type of thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I never really thought that Ricard died. I thought that he was just like knocked out.
Wait, what? You thought he was? You thought he was unconscious? Like this? Like
Yeah,
knocked out?
I don't-
They missed?
No, I'm not saying that they missed. I'm just
okay.
saying, maybe they didn't kill him. It's
Okay.
I know it's kind of hard to die. I was crippled for Christ's sake. Oh, I mean, for Lathander's sake. So
I mean, no, they made it completely look like they were going to kill me.
they made it look that way. So they.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what even? I'm blown away.
Now,
how
here's the
are
reaction.
you?
Come on
Actually,
back and sit down, and you need to know some stuff that's going on with the High Lady if you're going to continue walking around with us.
Please.
Also, what
please,
is her
Master
name?
Atlas.
This is a little rude. We're not addressing her.
Oh,
What's her
yeah.
name?
I give a slight bow and I go, "My name is Ricard."
And she kind of slightly bows to you, and she's like, "And I'm Bologna."
Nice to meet you, Bologna.
Says, "Very nice to meet you too." And the rest of you?
I am Richard. I mean, I am Roland. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's
Sorry.
cute.
No, that's not. It's not. I wasn't aiming at you. Something happened earlier. I had to think of my feet.
I kind of look at Roland. And go,
Roland.
are we like brothers now, Roland? Come on.
That's a
What's my
9 insight.
I croak. As a
What are you checking?
I croak out Master of Doors.
You still call me the Master of Doors.
And Scodric.
Backdoors.
Master of
Backdoors.
horrors.
Hey, that's catchy. Master of backdoors and hoes.
Oh wow. Okay. Anyway,
She kind of chuckles, and she says, "I'm sure there's an entertaining story behind that I would like to hear."
I'm sure Atlas will tell you all kinds of stories about us. Although he's told
There
us
are
nothing
many.
about you.
There are many.
Well, since you're here, I have some vital information that we all need to talk about.
Oh yeah, you did have something important to tell us.
I kind of step aside and go back into the conference room.
Yep. back in the
Okay.
conference room.
So we're looking at the ceiling the whole time.
Well, let's not forget, me and Bologna have somebody else we want to introduce to you as well. He doesn't have a name yet, but come out, boy.
Talking about.
I'm gonna open up my chest.
And you guys see Atlas kind of holds his cloak open, revealing his chest. And as he's standing there, this animatronic device lifting from beneath his chest plate kind of submerges from his chest, leaving this cavity as it moves down his body into the floor, kind of awkwardly standing on these four appendages that keep it elevated.
How did I possibly miss that?
Hey, I found your dog, Atlas.
Different one.
You have two dogs. Roland, how can you not get one direwolf?
I
And now
don't
he's got
know.
a robot dog
I
and a real
don't
dog,
know.
and he's lost one of them.
I don't even know how I missed this. Like, there's a whole thing that just came out of his chest.
When
It
you think you've
required
seen
Ulfney to like
everything-
unlock him and everything, so
Oh,
we'll give him a name eventually. But anyway,
I do have questions about that keyhole, but Scodric has important business to tell us. Scodric, I'm sorry, we've let you, sit there waiting
Oh
for.
no! By all means, this is only about what happened.
Yeah, just go. Well, we don't even know what were you even doing. You were talking to.
It was
I was talking to
Honest
Muhammad.
discretion.
So I kind of whispered at Atlas. I'm like, is she trustworthy? Would you trust her with very vital information? This could endanger her.
So if you're trying to whisper that, you're trying to
yeah.
do so that she won't hear it.
Right.
All right, so make a stealth check.
Oh, do I hear that?
Do I hear that as well?
Um,
Standing next-
So you guys can both roll perception checks.
Yes.
Wow,
Can
we
I-
matched.
Since I'm not walking, it's not going to echo off my heavy
Oh.
armor, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah, right. Yeah.
I heard that right.
Yes.
Okay.
Roland
he's-
hears it.
Did
Um,
I hear that?
Well, he's definitely telling vital information. I mean, he's telling her my business. So I mean, shit. He's clearly she's trustworthy, obviously. Okay, now go ahead. Go ahead.
Just for the
DM, did I hear that?
Ready to
record, I rolled a 4. What did everybody else roll?
I rolled an
Kidron,
18.
you-
Sorry.
Kidron, you did not hear it.
Scodric rolled an 18 as well.
I'm actually just gonna
Yeah,
cast
roll the
message. I'm just gonna like point my finger back at Scodric and just not say anything like audibly, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah, so he's whispering, but it's magically made to be silent to everyone except Scodric.
Gotcha.
so well, is it gonna put and don't say a damn thing to Roland, please. Is it gonna put my girlfriend in danger if she knows? Or
I nod.
Bologna, would you mind waiting with is it Niso or Nilo? I'm so sorry.
Nesso.
Nesso. Okay. Would you mind waiting out here with him? This is like some secret information. I joined a band of adventurers.
He's probational. I
Yeah.
say that.
She's
So,
like,
to put it very lightly.
Atlas, she looks at you and she's like, well, you're just full of all kinds of surprises.
Insight check the way she said it. See if she said it in a
I'm like, he's literally
it's
full of
really-
surprises. It jumped out of his
22.
chest.
Can I slap him on the back of the head?
She said
Did I know
intimately.
Oh my god.
I know his he was doing it in such a way.
That doesn't imply a relationship. It just
Hey, I
implies
can
attraction.
infer whatever I want.
Do you mind if I inside check it on Roland? Knowing that he was doing this.
Sure, yeah.
I've been with him in a long.
Bunch of big
You
heads.
can insight roll. So she does seem to say it with a type of like intimate curiosity.
Okay.
Ah,
I'm not gonna say
I know what
anything.
he's doing, right?
I'm not gonna
a
say
lot
anything.
of glaring back and forth.
Right.
I'm gonna like
Do I
just
know what he's
smirk.
doing?
I'm smirk. Like,
There's this big cycle
You're
of like
right.
glaring and stuff going on.
Can I see what he's doing?
Yeah, Kitron,
See
you
what
see
Master
him
Roland's doing?
fully.
I'm not trying to
like-
hide
Oh,
my
perfect.
faces.
Right.
Oh, perfect. I'm sitting here. I would probably slap you on the shoulder then. I'd be like as hard as I could, too.
Come on,
I'd be like, oh, pow.
as
I'd be
much
like-
shit as you guys can control them.
I'd be like, I'd be like, no, troll him.
That was Alduin.
You give yourself more shit than anyone.
That's a true statement.
here.
The wisest thing you've ever
Yeah,
said.
that's why Kidron slapping on the shoulder is because he's thinking of troll him. I am slapping on the shoulder as hard as I could. Yeah.
Do I take any damage from that? I don't know.
Both of you make a strength check.
Oh Jesus! This is such a waste of time.
I know it really is.
8.
Perfect.
Oh Jesus!
Oh
Wow.
Not
Wow.
at all.
Try
This is
harder.
both horrible.
Try harder.
There's definitely some pressure
I
behind it.
did
but there's
really
some-
try and hit you as hard as I could.
Okay.
With all my
Alright.
effort. dude.
He pulls
So,
it back at
after-
the end.
After this whole exchange or whatever, Nesso and Bologna both agree to kind of hang out in the shop area or whatever. The rest of you guys make your way back through this pearlescent veil that hangs in this doorway or whatever into the kitchen area where all the table is that you guys can kind of make your way around and then sit down and find your place at. After doing so, you guys kind of exchange stories about the events that took place leading up in as much or as little detail as you want. Now, given the fact that everybody already kind of knows out of character, everybody already kind of knows Ricard's side of things, et cetera, Atlas, since you have specific information, I'll let you describe verbally the things that you wanted to tell them about what Ulfni had said to you.
Okay. Well, I guess, guys, I'll start with. So he didn't say anything specific, but the reason he's getting me armor is because I think he's creating some sort of portal in my bedroom, something like that. I'm renting my room to him, so I'm gonna have to check on that. Back to Burdusk, he said.
Oh.
Those were his specific words, is that he wanted a way to get quickly from here to Burdusk if needed. So maybe we should all go back and talk to him at some point, so that way we kind of know what's going on with him, because he didn't give me a whole lot of detail about how to move forward with the Dragon Cult for you guys. And also, I think I probably left some of my stuff back home too. But to conclude, and then I'll let you get going, Skadric, is there's one last place that I want to visit before I potentially start looking for my dog, which is my old mentor's house.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, guys? I mean, another way of traveling's pretty good. Especially if Ricard, I know you said that. Well, was I here for that conversation? I don't think I was.
What?
Would you have told me about the teleportation circle in the basement? I think.
Well, no, but I was about to say, well, there's a teleportation circle here, but if he's already got an arrangement with your family, then I wouldn't want to impede on that.
Well, so there's one more thing he told me about that you guys probably want to know. So in an effort to revive Tiamat, the Dragon Cult is going to be using some sort of technology or magic, I think he described, that is going to use an incredible amount of energy, similar to when he switched my body with his and the animatronic body with my own, or with my soul, or however you want to put it. He's thinking that might be a way to get me back into my old body. But either way, the most important part about that is that the Dragon Cult is going to be using it to try to get Tiamat revived.
Okay. So are we talking about a robotic Tiamat?
He didn't say anything like that.
Mechanical Tiamat.
So what Ulfni had described specifically was the fact the ritual needed to cast in order to bring Tiamat forth from the Nine Hells would produce the amount of magical energy required to make the switch, and that would be like the quickest way of doing it without having to spend years rebuilding or undergoing the things necessary, like the amount of study, et cetera, to properly make the swap through his own means. If he were to sap off of the magical energy created ritualistically through the Dragon Cult's attempt at bringing back Tiamat, then he could essentially perform a couple of things himself that would draw from that energy and hopefully cause the swap back.
So Atlas is the swap back what you want? You seem to...
I'm going to be honest with you here. No, I haven't really... I may have expressed it a little bit to Ulfni, but I maybe wasn't quite clear enough. I feel really bad because he's in my body, and well, I didn't really like my body when I was in it. And I'm really enjoying myself, but at the same time, there is, a selfless part of me that wants to give him his body back.
Well, that's not like his body.
Yeah, he's a no.
Right. Well, I mean, if there's a...
That wasn't even there when we were there, was it?
No.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
Oh, this is for Atlas.
Oh.
I just wanted to say. So, again, assumptions on my part. Do you have any genitals in this body?
I can.
Because I just don't want the girl to be disappointed out there.
Wow.
I can have genitals much larger than yours, but that wouldn't be hard to achieve.
Oh, no, I'm not the one. I don't need to play. I'm just trying to understand.
I punch
Master
Roland in the side.
I look at Roland and I'm gonna roll stealth on this.
Okay.
And I was wondering exactly the same thing.
Like, okay.
Do I hear that? Do I hear that?
So,
I got an 18 on that stealth roll.
Kidron, are you punching with the attempt to do damage?
Oh Jesus. No. Okay.
Oh, okay. So Roland, you feel...
Yeah, I just eat it. I eat the head.
Right.
That was a valid question. And again, I'm just looking out for you, man. Because
I know why you're asking. I know exactly why you're asking. Look, the next time we see Trollum, we can ask her if she got enough iron this month. And if she didn't, then we'll handle it, okay?
I wasn't suggesting that I do anything to your. I'm just trying to I'm looking out for the future investment.
Yeah, don't worry. You remember when you guys found me in the alleyway and I was on a totally different body? I can keep doing that whenever I want. So I can become you if I wanted to.
So wait,
hold on.
Hold on. Do the genitals change and they're like real and you can touch them and then everything's like, what?
I wasn't really paying attention to that before.
I'm so confused now. It's a valid question.
Ricard, what were you?
I'm steadily trying to get Atlas and Roland to quit because Roland's obviously fucking with Atlas, and Atlas
I'm legitimately
irritated from what he's saying.
I'm actually curious because this is very.
I know you're actually curious. Like out of character. Ricard understands you're curious because he would have just said it a slightly more delicate way. But he has the same curiosity you have of what's going to happen between the two of y'all. But this is all out of character. I'm saying what my character's thinking here. So, but I'm steadily trying to get y'all to stop, because whereas you're just being you, Atlas is throwing very hard punches at you verbally. I'm like,
I'm proud
"Alright,
of him. I'm
y'all."
proud of him for being that aggressive.
Look.
Don't just take my
I
shit.
get the subject of genitals is very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and I look over at your
Skybrick knows.
tiefling friend, and I say, and I'm sure Bologna might want to know that one day too. But guess what?
Hey,
Right
keep the
now,
voice down.
right
Shout
now,
out
we
Side.
have
Man,
some issues that the size of your dick and balls,
Nobody asked about sizes.
No,
It was just
I
or
punch.
your
I punch
existence.
Master Roland in the side again.
why you touching me?
As this being stated, as this being
really.
Look,
Really,
okay,
ultimately,
on
it
the
doesn't
subject
matter.
of genitals, you should
No
keep
more
it. You
subject of
got to keep it in your hood. You dribble mouth milk liquor.
Oh no!
was he
here we
talking
go.
and I smack.
Who are you talking
I
to?
smack Master Roland.
Look, if you say another word, all I gotta
Hold
say is you need to go candy a yam, you two-faced spit licker.
I don't even know who's
Okay,
being
all right, guys.
insulted. I'm being punched by a penis.
Dogcasters.
Yes, Godric.
Diesel
Okay.
pumping pony soldier.
God damn it.
I just look-
Muhammad,
I
damn
just-
it.
I actually know what language this is.
Okay.
I look over
Clearly
at
not
Nesto
common.
and I go, "Is this what we usually sounded like back in the day?"
And
No.
Nessa, looking at all of you guys and just.
I thought Nesso couldn't hear. I thought he was with Bologna.
Yeah.
Oh right. He's out in the shop, so he's not even listening to you.
Oh,
guys.
he's not in here. Oh, did everybody
don't know.
actually come through the veil? Okay.
I didn't want her listening.
Nesso and Bologna have not made their way into the room, so
Okay.
Nessa's kind of.
Wow.
They
I-
should,
I don't know.
We'll find
The-
out about the source of energy
they shouldn't be able to hear anything.
and see
Okay, good.
what we can do about that. That is something on our list.
All right.
All right.
Hold on.
Um,
Do we have any idea when this is going to be done? Skodrick, what did you see? What did Bahamut tell you?
All right. So I asked Bahamut who was the council members to pretty much want you dead, or all of us dead, but got you killed. And he gave me a vision of two people. One was a female tiefling. In black
Huh.
armor, gold trim, pale purple skin. The horns actually went back and down. And there was another one, a full elf gentleman. Did you say he had like blonde hair?
He's like shimmering white hair.
Shimmering white hair. Okay. Shimmering white hair. It's got an actually pleasant voice. But they were talking about extortion, using noble families or whatever.
Hmm.
So
Um,
do you guys, since you're from around here, do you recognize any council member by those descriptions?
Yeah, so Ricard and Atlas, both of you guys can make a history check, and y'all can do so with advantage, given
While
that
they're doing
both
that,
from Water.
what do you mean he had a nice voice?
I don't know. That's soothing, man. That's pretty good.
That's a 22 for me.
That's
So where
good
you're
comment.
like,
Dude,
as people are taking the journey once more,
do I have? Where is
as I pray to Lathander.
I was gonna say out of character, was Bradley 62 has been just
Oh,
lighting
yeah.
up the chat
Yeah.
the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Oh, yeah?
saw that.
I haven't checked the chat in a bit. And let
Yeah,
me,
but we haven't taken a break, so
Yeah.
also true.
use one point
Um,
of luck, DM, to get a 24.
I think
Okay.
you referred to your girlfriend's horn and handlebars.
Oh,
Which I think
God.
is very
Um,
interesting.
It was very funny. It was entertaining.
So,
The chat was.
given the description, there are. This is reminiscent. This is reminiscent of people that you guys have seen on the council. There aren't specific names that you guys think of. These two people typically don't make public appearances, except if they do, it's generally with the entirety of whoever is ruling or is considered to be ruling Waterdeep at the time. though Waterdeep itself doesn't necessarily have one particular ruler, except that most of the nobility kind of run the place. But then the council was formed. These two members have been part of the council for a significant amount of time that you guys recall. But again, they generally don't make public appearances. And if any of the council has left Waterdeep for any reason, you don't recall having seen them leave or travel with any of the other of the political parties in and among Waterdeep.
All right. So we need. What do we need? Our best contact of infrastructure is kind of split between the Harpers and the High Lady, and Roland, maybe your contacts might be able to point us in the right direction. Am I wrong there? Does anybody see something I'm not?
Oh, also they were
Disregard
talking about the
yours.
same passageway that we used.
That we used.
Well, you didn't use, but the rest of us used when we escaped. The jailhouse.
Correct.
Interesting.
Correct.
So someone that knows about it.
I need to talk
Mr. Ricard,
to Jim now.
Yes, Kid.
maybe.
I vote to your credibility of your contacts.
Yeah, the High Lady
Appreciate
will probably know too.
Yeah.
Well, she was already looking into who had taken possession of our belongings.
True. She could probably
I
give
think
us
we need to
names
get
of
that back
people.
first.
Of course.
I can send her.
No.
I can send her a message. She can, if she does get it back, she can get it here. We can talk to her.
I think we need to go get it back.
I mean, we could, but that's a crime, right? I mean, I'm
I
fine
mean,
with doing it, but I don't know.
Is it really a crime to reacquire your belongings that were
That's
stolen
what
by
the
some
fuck I'm saying.
crooked
Like, I
shit?
tried to tell her.
Hold on. Is it really a crime if we take back our stuff that was stolen by the crooked shits? Is that really wrong?
Mr. Ricard,
They will probably try to
Yes.
kill you again, just for the record.
Mr. Roland,
I will probably kill them.
Sure.
may we? How dangerous would it be to acquire our belongings?
Depends on who has them,
That's true.
and depends on how much I give a shit.
Well,
How would we track him down?
Let me.
Well, that's
the High
where
Lady would probably be
the
able to
High
tell us.
Lady would come in.
So give me a minute.
Scott.
I'll
Ah.
send her a message.
Okay.
I'm also thinking of something right now. I keep hearing, or at least seeing, or is a recurring thing
Scott,
happening today with tieflings. Essentially, I've seen
Scodrick,
Yes.
Atlas's
as
friend.
you send a message, please.
I don't think he
Ask.
can hear you. Can you
Oh,
not hear
oh.
Roland?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking
Uh,
Mav.
Kidron?
Mav, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was gonna say, please ask. Our position, is it at all in question? Just on Kedron's conscience.
Or,
Hey, Mav, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Anyway,
Okay,
I was just
Yeah.
gonna point out that Atlas's girlfriend, friend, associate, this new individual that Skadrick saw, and now I'm remembering that shop owner that we talked to Picard earlier wanted us to kill a tiefling for him, I believe.
Oh,
Although he
jeez.
didn't, I don't think he gave us a description though.
You're
No,
telling them.
didn't.
Who are you talking to?
All of
I'm
us.
talking to everyone.
yeah. Hey, I look at Kidron and I go, we didn't accept any
No one's. I'm not
assassination.
gonna.
No, we did
Whoa,
not
whoa,
accept
okay,
it.
wait,
And then
wait.
I kind of
wait.
like smack him.
I'm
with
not
my-
saying.
I backhand his
We kill
stomach,
people.
his
We
abdomen.
kill people plenty of times.
I backhand his abdomen.
I asked
Uh,
if you.
Well,
hard as
I'm
I
not okay
can.
with killing anybody, and the one time that I did, it was on
backhand his
accident.
abdomen. I
My
backhand
point
his
is,
abdomen with
I
damage.
don't.
Oh, with
So are
damage?
you backhanding?
All right, so make an
Yeah,
attack
really?
roll.
Master Roland's
Oh, Jesus.
abdomen, his stomach, damage.
Yeah. So make an attack roll, just a d20, add your strength modifier.
Okay, my AC is 16. We're gonna see what happens.
How do I do that?
So on that, in the upper left-hand corner on roll 20, if you go down to the little dice symbol, you can just click the d20. Like if you hover over it, there you go.
That
Okay.
did not hit.
And then add your
What do I do
strength
now?
modifier.
Still doesn't hit.
Is 2, which does
You'd have to have an 11.
anyway.
So you managed to see his arm coming at you.
Yeah.
In time to move out of the way.
Okay. As I was saying, I wasn't saying we could just go kill a random person, Kedron, just for the record. Not killing random people. I'm just curious. We do kill Dragon Cult members, correct? We kill evil people? Bad
I also
guys?
say yes, we do.
Okay, I was
Mr.
gonna
Rowan,
make
yes, we do.
sure. I was gonna make sure they were actually bad before we went and murdered them, if we had to. You know, it's for a discount. What? So
No
I'm
discount.
gonna kind of grab a hold of Kidron's shoulder and turn him until he's looking at me instead of at Roland. I go, Kidron, do you really think I was gonna accept a job to kill an innocent person?
Not at
why do you?
Okay then.
Wait, would you think I would? Hold on.
You're being very violent with Roland
Kedron.
today.
So I'm gonna step into another room.
I
And
would-
I'm gonna send to the high lady.
No,
Okay.
Scott, my point was, I
No,
don't
you don't have
know.
to explain it to me.
DM, how many tieflings have I seen in the city in the last day or so? Has it been like maybe 1% of the people here?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so if
Maybe
the
not quite
shop owner,
1%, but there's definitely a couple.
a low percent, yeah. Okay, so the shop owner is asking me to kill some tiefling. It could either be a competitor, okay, or could be this
Hold
one
on.
noble that we need to talk to or whatever, or it could be
Wait.
Atlas's girlfriend.
Wait.
I don't know.
Wait.
I'm just saying we should check and
Hold
verify
on.
who's actually trying to kill.
Let's ask
Guys.
Atlas. Do you mind if your girlfriend comes back? Hold on.
As
Atlas,
long
do
as
you mind
we
if your
have any-
girlfriend comes back and we can ask her if she knows the shop owner and who he might be after, and the noble that's a tiefling? She might be able to help us.
I'm gonna like glance at Roland. I'm just gonna be like, friend, But as long as we don't put her in any danger or anything, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Is it okay to call her your girlfriend? Would you prefer
Apparently
me
not.
call her by name?
Well, let's just go with Bologna. I mean, I feel like that's
Okay.
probably the most respectful thing.
Girlfriend.
You guys don't like labels? It's fine. I understand that.
All right, so Skodrick, you're about to send a message to the High Lady,
Yes.
and then Atlas, you're going to be calling your friend into the room.
We're all
To,
dickheads.
Look,
It's literally the shenanigans.
Okay. So
I kind of look at Atlas and I go, look, everybody seems to have some pent-up frustration. It'll be okay.
Well, speaking of pent up frustration, I'm actually thinking about taking out some amateur or adept fighters tomorrow night if we're gonna still be in town.
We might be
Sounds like a plan.
tonight. If everything
A
works
place for a
out,
bed.
we're going to get to go talk to some crooked shits.
Thing about tonight is I'm also really, really tired tonight too.
Okay.
So if we end up getting in trouble, I don't have any stamina to cast any spells.
Okay, well, just
Oh.
don't tell Bologna that. It might be disappointed.
Wow.
In what?
I didn't
Stamina?
say that.
I start,
Hey,
I
Atlas, that wasn't
Hey.
me. Hey, no, Kedron,
I'll
hit
get
him.
into that one.
Kedron, hit Ricard right now. Oh my God.
I'd be willing to bet I got the highest constitution out of anybody in this group.
Oh no.
oh no.
Is this in character or out of character?
Well, in character, he's just gonna say, "I bet you I've got the highest fortitude out of anybody in this group."
That may
Oh, I
very
hear
well
that.
be.
I'm just.
I mean, all I need is a little lube, oil. We'll be good.
Oh no.
you know what?
Um,
I don't doubt a word of that. Anyway,
Like,
uh,
Matter of fact, I got a water skin oil right here.
wow.
Yeah, but
So,
I didn't have to get a
Dawncasters,
mechanical
looking for
upgrade to
new,
get there. So
members.
Okay, so real quick, Ricard, in your telling or recounting of the events that took place in your specific or your specific strain of events that took place or whatever, are there any specific details that you think Atlas or the party might not know that you would want to mention? Because I think that in general, I feel like in general, most of this has been recounted to all of the party except for Atlas. Um,
as
if
far as
not,
which
if not
part,
all of it.
the
Just any of it. You know, the encounter with the High Lady. I know that Kidron and Skydrick were there for that. Roland was there for that. And then, or no, Kidron was not there for that, but Roland and Skydrick were there for that.
New
Or
follower.
any of the other events that have taken place. I'm trying to remember if there were any specific details that could be detrimental or significant.
there were I don't know that I have all the notes written for all the members of. Let's see.
Okay, I was just going to ask. We can go back and fill that in.
Yeah.
So Atlas, you've recounted your portion of story that you wanted to recount. Ricard's recounted his. Skydrick, you're about to send this message to High Lady, inquiring about the acquisition of or reacquisition of your items, the party's items.
As well as letting her know, give a slight description of both the council members.
Okay. So what I'm going to need is a 25-word sentence from you, including the information about both of those, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
quick question. Question, Ron, out of character.
no.
Ron, have you been drinking anything tonight?
No.
Thank God. All right,
Um,
I have full faith in you not to fuck this up like that one time.
So I
He was very drunk that night,
He's
though.
like
so-
a
Jesus.
sniper when he's had
Out of
had
character.
drink. He like out of character too. He's been like a sniper outside of the drink or when he's drinking. I'm sorry. Sure. Yes. Yes, that one.
Okay, so
means
I actually feel like this is probably going to be a good place to end our session for the evening.
All right.
Given the amount of detail that's been given, been gotten, et cetera, et cetera. I am going to make some notes. For those of you in the chat, just wanted to let you guys know we typically don't interact with the chat specifically during session, but we will during break times and at the end. Bradley62, thank you, man, for commenting so much, for hitting us up and giving us some of those hilarious comments here. Let's see.
What's he been saying? Because I haven't got the chat.
He says, make sure
man.
she consents and is of age. I assume he is referring to.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
they
they're
met-
all,
they met
all
when they
above
were
18.
16.
Yeah,
They were
we're
met
all
when they
above
were
18.
16. So
FBI might
we
be breaking through
can
your door.
call
for
off the
18.
FBI now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, don't swat me, please.
Uh,
I mean, Alice is acting pretty sneaky about this. I don't know.
Let's
Maybe
see.
something's going on.
No.
She's not a tiefling. She's a tiefling, as in. she
Oh
uses teeth.
Jesus!
There's one comment.
God!
This guy's the MVP, huh?
Oh Jesus!
no,
man.
yeah, he's been killing.
It did. Yeah, yeah.
Excuse
It
me.
said-
Steal a heart and bless his son. Joy the day that
Right?
Yeah, he says you're lying. You're not tired. You're trying to flake on us. No, I think that I seriously think that he might be going off to try and visit the hardware store so he can get lucky tonight.
Wow.
Uh,
Anyway, DM, before we officially end the session, I was gonna ask Ricard a question. Is there a layaway policy at this shop?
Roland,
Wow.
Like,
we
Yeah.
had this discussion elsewhere.
I can't remember the answer. I'm sorry.
No,
Oh my God.
it depends on what you're wanting to buy.
Oh, okay. So,
But as
I mean,
soon as we
Can
decide our course
not
of
have
action,
15 other things that we fucking have to pay for later on?
I mean, if we get our stuff back, I'll have lots of money, and I just want to, I'll pay
yeah,
it
we
back.
just
Just trying to make sure.
we need the provisions to deal with what we've got to do to get our belongings back. Once we
Well,
do
that-
that,
Well, I feel like the only way we're gonna be able to do this if we have weapons, and the only person that has a weapon right now. I mean, I have a dagger, and I'm pretty sure Keedron has a new weapon, but we're kind of defenseless.
Which, yes. No.
we should be able to get something
Okay.
along that,
All right.
that line to be able to get us through.
Okay. So everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being so active, especially Bradley killing it, man.
All right, cheers.
Incredibly hilarious comments.
Who else
there.
we got in that chat?
There was
Mav
somebody-
Hunt. Oh, I guess that's just Mav. So primarily just Bradley, but
Yeah.
he is definitely
Dang.
commenting along with the story.
Hey,
so thanks Bradley 62 for doing it. Shout out to you.
Appreciate support.
Yeah, man. Everybody check us out again. We're going to keep you guys updated as to when we're going to be streaming. So we're all humans. We all have lives, and every now and then we have to either reschedule or cancel a session, but we try not to. We typically play on Friday nights at 8:30. Is generally when we try to, or 9 o'clock. I'm sorry. We try to start streaming Friday nights at 9 o'clock. So you guys are always welcome to pop in and join us. We've got a couple of things in the works supporting the cause. The whole battle cry or die name. We're essentially doing some branding. So pretty excited about that. So that's in the works. We're going to keep playing. We're playing through this module.
Supporting, you support. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's supporting that the active duty veterans, active duty members. We're here.
Yeah, so shout out to them. We could be supporting them financially. So for those of you who haven't liked and subscribed yet, please check out our YouTube channel and check us out. We do some streaming of video games during and throughout the week. It's just super fun. We're not monetized yet, but we would love to get there. So you guys popping in and checking us out is definitely going to help us get there. So we're looking at you guys. We're looking to you. Support the cause. Also, we accept critical criticism. Personal insult is typically rejected. So if you throw insults, we're likely to throw them back, just so you guys know.
I mean,
Battle cry or fucking die.
prefer constructive criticism.
Yeah,
Fuck.
constructive criticism. Right. Yeah. So,
Master Roland. Well.
what did I say? Critical criticism again?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
constructive, I'm sorry.
Jeez.
It adds to your character and charm. It's all good.
Oh man, sorry.
it.
Constructive.
I love
We
it.
prefer constructive criticism. We're gonna edit that out. We're editing that out.
Constructive
Keeping
constructive
it in.
criticism
Keeping it in.
and critical fails.
Totally keeping it.
Yeah, I rolled a 1 just now.
We are putting older videos. We are putting those up on YouTube, so go check them out. Get caught up.
Definitely.
Streaming constantly. Come at us. Read it. View it.
I mean, sure, yes.
I mean, like, maybe come check us out. Don't come at us. But
I mean,
like,
I don't know if I really want to check me out either. You know,
Yeah, come at us too. Yeah. Whatever that means.
cool.
when we get a wiki page at some point, I'm gonna make sure, regardless of what happens from now on, that Bologna is always going to be associated with Atlas as friend with quotation marks.
Right.
Because that's how she was introduced. Like, she's just gonna be your friend on the wiki page.
Scottrick knows the truth.
All right,
Shun
you
the
guys,
non-believers.
That sounds like a with benefits type of arrangement. Is what it kind of
Hey.
sounded like. Like there wasn't really any
Thank you, Lord.
commitment there. You know?
all right,
Cool.
we're gonna go ahead and end it here. Hope you guys
Thank
have
you,
a great one. Yeah, thank y'all
Take
for
it easy.
everything. Goodbye.